All right. Hello there, everyone. Ladies, gentlemen. Fuck. My mic didn't pick up. I whispered gamers. But anyway, TikTok enjoyers, welcome back. Welcome back. There we go. I think I picked that one up. So we're here with another TikTok reaction every Friday on the Friday, although you guys are going to get it way later than the Friday I'm recording it on. But we out here. So we're on episode 28 of the Dark Dimension TikTok series, where I try and show people we are in the dark dimension. We are not in the light dimension. We're not in the clear dimension. We're not in the crystal dimension. We are in the dark dimension, where shit is fucked, things are bad, and we need to realize it, number one, to prove I'm right, and number two, to possibly change it, or number three, to make everyone as miserable as I am. And always number four, to advertise my Twitch channel, Twitch TV / Technics channel. But anyway, we're here. I have my din din. I got some food with me. Various foods, various fruits, veggies, and meats and rice. So we're chilling on that aspect. And aside from that, let's just get into it. So I am recording this pretty early before we get into it. I actually decided to man up, gain willpower and motivation, because usually on a Friday, I don't have this. But this Friday is different. But it's really not, because I'm still exhausted as shit. But somehow I was able to get here early. So we might be able to go for a while. I hope to get through a lot, because we're still over a month behind at this point. So I'm going to be seeing this and not remember them. But aside from that, we're also going to say goodnight to the grandparents, because they're not asleep yet. But I didn't want to wait for them to go to sleep. I just wanted to start this because when I start watching these, I also start eating. And again, with my food in front of me, I want to eat it. So I was like, okay, I should just watch the TikTok. So here we are. Anyway, now that the 2-minute intro's done and over with, let's get to it. Oh yeah, we can do it. I can't live on $7.25 an hour. Then go to college. I can't afford 100K tuition. Take out loans. Can't afford to pay the interest rate. No one forced you to go to college. I need more money. And then there's a tax cut. You know what the sad part of this shit is? The absolute sad part of this shit is, like, this is a joke. It's comedy. But comedy is often rooted in truth, certain comedic styles. This one definitely is, but the level to which it is true in our society is scary and disgusting. I am honestly baffled that federal minimum wage is still 7.25 an hour. I don't know where in the country you can live off that. And it makes me question, as I've done before, because like 90% of the series is me just repeating myself. How the fuck, like, I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, I remembered. How the fuck do they make what minimum is? Like, how do they surmise? How do the big politicians and everything come together and say, okay, this is what minimum wage is? Well, minimum for what? For not living? Because you can't live off this. So what the hell? This similarly reminds me of how we showed off on a previous episode that the social security tax that we all have to pay into has a cap on it. So who does that cap affect? The rich people in a positive way, yes. The poor people in a negative way, not really, because you're gonna pay it anyway. So it's literally only a benefit for the rich people. Where if you make, I believe, over $160,000 or around there, you literally don't have to pay any more into social security. For what reason? I don't know, because they want less taxes even though they make more money. Excuse me. Where it would actively affect them the least, they get the most benefit. Where it's gonna affect us at the bottom the most, and we get the least like benefit of it. It's so stupid. But anyway, pretty nice start off video here. Let's go next.
Hey, I'm gonna need you to come back early from your break. It's crazy out
Oh,
there.
so this whole trend of loud quitting, I don't know if it's still apparent, but again, this was a month ago on what was last month? July. On July 5th, when this came out, loud quitting was like the new hip trend. And I'm gonna be honest, from here, I've seen, since it's been a month, I've seen so many other trends happening to where they're calling it everything. It was just quiet quitting. Everything was under the umbrella term of quiet quitting. Then they made loud quitting. Then they made loud working or some bullshit where you literally talk about working more than you work. Which I feel like certain people just do that normally, but and I don't think it's an active thing. But yeah, I feel like now they're making all these new like catchphrases with this shit, and it's so stupid. It's really so dumb. But anyway, yeah, loud quitting is essentially quiet quitting, except you're going a step further and you're trying to fuck over the company. So loud quitting is like you're showing them, yeah, I want to be fired, fire me, and until you fire me, I'm going to actively do bad things to the company. Nothing illegal, obviously, or maybe slightly illegal, but you're not gonna kill them. But I'll give you an example. So loud quitting is essentially like this. Oh, I drive a bus. Oh, I don't like the bus company because they're not paying me a fair wage. Okay, I'm still going to drive the bus. I'm just not going to charge people for fare. They could just ride the bus for free. You're not hurting the people, you're hurting the company.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Sorry. I'm actually applying to
ew.
jobs right now. I'm super busy. Trying to make sure I
Damn.
never have to come back here again. What? Why?
Yo, that's a big mood.
Because I'm miserable? Mainly because
Facts.
of you. You're the worst.
You know how crazy this hits home to me? Today I moved into a new office, right? And my boss was just absolutely terrible. I hate my boss. So it's not even that the place is that bad. The place isn't that bad. It's just my boss is bad, and the work culture that she and select others create is really fucking toxic. But yeah, it's so stupid that a lot of people don't have this luxury. They don't have the luxury of looking for another job because looking for another job is like a job in and of itself, and it's hard to do when you have a job already. So people who could do that have like insane mental. But aside from that, right? Let's just say you lose your job. At that point, again, 60% of Americans at least only have $1,000 in savings. Rent is like 2,000 plus. What you gonna do when he comes for you? But anyway, yeah, a lot of people don't have a choice and they have to stay in a job even if they're miserable, and it's so sad to me because that's where I feel I'm at right now, and my boss sucks too.
Excuse me? If I had $1 for every time you make me question my sanity, I think I'd be retired and be able to escape this perpetual state of misery. You take
Mmm.
advantage of us like a corrupt politician makes false promises. Okay,
Yo, that is so true, especially with my job.
that's enough. Hello? Oh my god, hi! Yes, I am available tomorrow for an interview.
Okay, one thing I gotta say, this chick to me is ugly. Now, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and I don't want my millions of fans going and attacking her for her looks. Because I think conventionally she's pretty. I think conventionally people might like her, but I do not find this woman attractive. I think she's so ugly, and I don't know if she's trying to be nasty, but she's kind of nasty, especially when she was eating the food. But granted, that's everyone. That's not just her. Whenever I see anyone eating food, I think it's nasty. Especially when they chew with their mouth open. I hate that shit.
Okay, yeah.
I like how she was like, "What? I'm on the phone. Like, leave me alone."
Really looking forward to it too. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, alright, okay.
Like, she's trying to be annoying, I feel like. This is where I don't know if she's making fun of loud quitting, where it's like these are the people that are loud quitting, they're assholes, or if she's trying to like say it's good.
Bye.
Because right now, the Starbucks lady, I kind of feel bad for her. Because listen, manager, this is the manager, right? She's middle management. She's not the owner of Starbucks, because the owner is probably the worst one, right? Like they steal the millions. But this is where middle management just gets fucked because they have to deal with this, and they still have a boss. A lot of people don't realize managers still have bosses. They have to answer to someone. It's just you have to answer to them. So it's just going down the totem pole. I love her face here. Her face is just shocked. See, here she's kind of pretty, although she's wearing too much makeup. But this is Dark Dimension, not rate fucking women's looks, so.
Oh my god, I'm glad you're still here. I won't be able to make it to work tomorrow. Sorry. Just a heads up.
Honestly,
Veronica, this is Oh, it's time for me to clock in. Hopefully for the last time. Am I right?
mm-hmm.
Okay, see you out there. Hey, I'm gonna.
Yo, Veronica is a big mood. This is where I think a lot of companies deserve Veronicas. Even though I fucking hate Veronica, especially with how she acts and how she carries herself, you give what you get. The only sad part is the manager has to do certain things they don't want to, and they have to put up with shit. So I do feel bad for some managers, but yo, come on, just don't be assholes. Work with us. Don't be under the company's thumb. But anyway, pretty nice video. But yeah, loud quitting was one of the new pop-up trends that evolved from quiet quitting, among many others. So pretty interesting. I like to see that the trend is still evolving, it's not dying out. And as we're going to see, maybe not today, but in the future, a lot of things are going stronger than I thought, where it might actually be shining a ray of hope in the dark dimension. But we'll see if we can get to it. Let's keep going. We'll eat more food.
Connecticut is so racist that the cops had to forge over 60,000
Whoa.
traffic citations to white people that did not exist, just so it didn't look like they only pulled over minorities.
A new 79-page audit conducted by researchers at UConn state it's highly likely that more than 25,000 tickets were falsified. Researchers also found an additional 35,000 tickets had significant inaccuracies and likely to be false. Researchers compared CSP data with data from the state judicial system and the state's racial profiling system to note discrepancies.
Okay, so I really got to be careful with these topics, but these are important topics to go over now. I am the great skeptic. And I actually might title this video that. The Great Skeptic. That's me. But anyway, as the Great Skeptic, you know I question everything. Now, this is where I'm going to question something. I don't think that... Where was this? In Connecticut? Yeah, it's in Connecticut, which is actually quite close to New York. We can actually drive there within like 40 minutes or an hour or something. But, at least from NYC. But this is where I fully believe they stop more minorities than anything. And, you know, let's be real with it, right? Let's just say what it is. They stop black people more than anything, and they give them tickets because they probably are racist. Now, is it the real question of are they racist? Or is it because the black people are causing most of the crime? I'm not saying that, I'm just questioning it, right? And if they are causing most of the crime, why is that? Is it because they choose to, or is it because they've been set up by that way by society? This is where you can keep going deeper and deeper, and you get into places where you simply don't know, because each person is going to be aligned with a certain side that's going to say yes or no. But there's no way to really hard prove this, at least from what I've seen. But the matter of the fact is, I think disregarding all of the questions that go deeper, at the end of the day, something bad is happening. I don't care why. It needs to stop. We need to have the logic that that lovely young I forgot what he was, if he was a senator or not, but that lovely young man in government who said, "Oh, just because we didn't have, or they didn't have to go through it, and we did, means like they shouldn't, they should go through it, right?" This is where like he's like saying, "Oh, because we had to like endure like shit, they have to eat shit too. We can't fix anything because we didn't get it," right? This is so dumb. It needs to stop at some point. The cycle needs to be broken, and this is where, like, again, regardless of the reasons, who fucking cares? Fix the issue. Stop being racist. That's the main thing. But let's keep watching.
Auditors say skewed data makes it appear troopers ticketed more white drivers than other ethnicities.
Yeah,
like, if anybody ever
lies.
tries to tell you that the cops don't have a quota system for writing tickets, just give them this 80-page report. Because poor Juan over here has been pulled over 5 times in the last year for no seatbelt and paid $2,000 in court fees. Meanwhile, the other cops are booking overtime, sitting at their desk thinking of, like, fake names like, I gotta make up this new ticket. Jack, me off, speeding, 50 into 45. I gave him a warning.
Governor Ned Lamont says he has referred the matter to the chief state's attorney for investigation.
Don't jump to conclusions. Let's see whether some of this was inadvertent. I am told that there's a small group that are much more likely to have tickets that were not properly registered.
So this is where, and this is the sad part, right? In the media, because of the way the media is, and I would know, because I'm a media major, the best major in college, by the way. This is where the media only really shows the bad. And this is where I think people are starting to get a warped view of things, especially with the police. There's a lot of police hate now, I feel, in America. And obviously there's bad apples, but the bad apples are ruining the bunch at this point. I know there's good cops, I know there's bad cops. And if you don't agree that there's both, then you're just delusional, and I'm sorry, you're non-reality. But here's where it becomes, what do you think there's more of? Do you think there's more good than bad, or bad than good? If you watch the media, I wouldn't be surprised if some people said there's more bad than good. And this is the sad part, because again, the bad apple ruins the bunch. Excuse me, Jesus Christ. I fully believe there's more good cops than bad. It's just the bad gets so much more attention, and it's so much more of a higher magnitude of like severity when you do something bad versus when you do something good. It's really sad.
So maybe that's a group we ought to focus on.
The governor looked you dead in the eye and was like, "We don't know if these cops did this shit on purpose." There's over 500 state troopers documented in that report.
Wow.
The state troopers in Connecticut are only 1,200 deep. That's fucking 40%, my guy. Like, close to half your police force pulls over too many black and brown people that have to stay out late and get paid overtime to make up 60,000 fake white names. And you know what really blows my mind? Like, we're not talking about Florida or Alabama, right? Like, we're talking about Connecticut.
Yeah, this is the surprising part. It's up north. And, you know, historically speaking, the lower you go, the more racist they get.
Like one of the most bluest states on the East Coast. Like there's a town in Arkansas called Menifee where the cops ticketed so many minorities that the state stopped them from writing tickets for a full fucking year. Like that's where Connecticut's headed. Connecticut is so racist that...
Okay, see, this is where it's going into extremes, where it's like, oh, because we wrote so many tickets for minorities, we can't write tickets for a whole year. I don't know if it was specifically for minorities or just at all, but it's like, what the hell? At that point, people are going to get away with reckless driving. See, this is where the whole system just seems so, like, bad, right? Where if one thing goes wrong, a lot of other things in the system feel like they're going wrong, but somehow the whole system is still functioning. It's like, imagine you have, like, a car, right? And in your car, there's, like, so many blinking lights, like, you know, your tires are getting flat, your engine's not running properly, you're running low on gas, but somehow the car keeps going. And it's like a miracle how. I don't know. Excuse me. But yeah. I mean, you know, more government corruption, more cops being bad cops. It's a shame. But yeah, if it's 40%, then that's not little. That's more of almost the whole bunch. So yeah, maybe we have an outlier with Connecticut. Maybe Connecticut really is just racist. Who knows? Anyway, yeah, very nice. Trust the police.
Fun fact, it's believed the CIA has a meme warfare department where they take popular meme formats, repackage them with their chosen message, and then send them back out onto the internet to influence the American people. The US government first became aware...
So this is where, again, as the great skeptic, I have to question this. It says it's... What did you say in the beginning? Let's check that again.
Fun fact, it's believed that...
It's believed. Once you say it's believed, I'm not going to trust you.
The CIA...
I'm sorry.
The internet to influence the American people. The US government first...
This guy looks like a paintbrush.
...became aware of the power of memes back in 2011.
That's
and
hilarious.
DARPA hired Dr. Robert Finkelstein to research meme warfare.
Yeah, because that guy looks like he's very in line with memes. I probably know more about memes than he fucking does, and I'm 25 years old.
And lay out what it would look like. Dr. Finkelstein came back with a document that laid out how the Meme Warfare Center could be structured, which included this slide, that laid out how an organically created meme could then be repackaged to spread the government's chosen message.
What the fuck?
It's unknown whether the US government ever actually created the Meme Warfare Department, as that would be classified information. But in 2017, as part of the Vault 7 WikiLeaks dump, folders of blank meme formats were found in the leaked CIA documents.
No way. That's hilarious. So the CIA, and you know, again, this is where, in my media class, I'll give you guys a little history lesson here. You know, I'm not normally supposed to share this because you're supposed to pay for this in school and go into student debt, crippling student debt to learn something like this. But I'll tell you guys because I like yous. This is where, back in World War II era, 1930s-ish, right? Around 1940s also. They started realizing how to really manipulate like advertising and stuff because a lot of people didn't want to go to war. And that's where governments hired people. They did research, they learned. How do we convince people to want things like war or killing someone when they don't want war after World War One? And they figured it out. They figured out ways to do it. And it wasn't the best ways, it wasn't the most efficient or the greatest, but they figured it out. Now, since then, it's almost been 100 years, right? It's almost been 100 years. Give it like another 10, 15 years. It's been like 100 years at that point. The governments have gotten so good at doing this, right? They don't even need to try anymore. They're so good at it. This is where I think a lot of the reason why Americans or United States people, or just, you know, people in general all around the world have become sort of like mindless sheep and are willing to take a lot more ramming. Oh, wait, hold on. Do I have to say goodnight to someone? Oh, no, I'm good. Never mind. Not yet, at least. But yeah, this is where I think the reason why people take a lot more ramming is because they've been preconditioned now. They've been preconditioned through the media to just accept more things because the government knows what it's doing. If you think they don't, you're not in reality. But yeah, I would definitely not doubt that they have this because there's one thing I know the United States government wants, and it's control. Foreign and domestic. They want control. But the fact that they make memes and stuff to try and influence us is so fucking funny. This is where I honestly could see it happening. But I can also see it massively failing because what if they're just so old and they're so boomer, like it doesn't matter. The only way I could see them actually making good memes is if they actually hire like a young kid. That's the only way I could see. Because these people in our government are archaic dinosaurs, so I can't imagine them making good memes. But I could be wrong because people are idiots. But anyway, pretty good video. Again, it's showing how the government's trying to influence us always. Let's go next.
Well, your CV is impressive. We would
I
love...
love this guy. I love this guy, by the way. I think we've seen him before. I think he's so funny. I think I remember this one, but I'm not too sure. But anyway, let's watch it while I eat my food.
For you to join our faculty. Do you have any questions for me? Yeah, just one. Is your hospital private equity owned?
Oh, healthcare. Healthcare. We all love healthcare. And as I've said before in like 90% of the videos... Excuse me. The 3 biggest debts you will ever have in your life are most likely going to be student loans, mortgage, health bills. Or if you're really stupid, credit card debt, but that could be like interchanged with number 3 and 4. See, this is where private ownership, this is like pure capitalism right here. Capitalism loves private ownership, but this is where, again, we're getting into the extremes of capitalism, and this is showing how a basic necessity, I believe healthcare should be a basic necessity for people, same as food, water, and shelter. You need it to live any meaningful life. And people will be like, oh, you don't really need it, you can still live without it. Yeah, if you're lucky. And even then, what kind of quality of life are you going to have? Oh, yeah, you can live without water too. You're just going to live for 3 days. You won't die instantly without water. You'll live, just not for too long. And it's the same thing with healthcare and shelter. Like, yeah, sure, you'll live without shelter. Us humans are resilient. You're just not going to live that long because of disease and stuff. So, yeah, this is where I don't like this argument. And again, private equity, private owning isn't necessarily bad because it does spawn competition. But again, in late stage capitalism, it's not good.
Private equity?
Especially when it comes to people's health, bruh. Like, they're literally, and I've showed this before with like the with the freaking what was it called, insulin, how it's a life, like people literally need it. They cannot live without it or else they will die. And because the health companies know that, because the big pharma knows that, they overcharge them because they know they have to buy it, and it's the evilest shit. And they get away with it because they lobby our corrupt ass government. Look at our Supreme Court. But anyway, let's keep looking. Yeah, private equity, good and bad. Right now, mostly bad.
An investor-backed asset manager with a controlling interest in the hospital?
Oh, look, there he is. That's so. I love when they zoom in.
Yes, we sold to private equity last year. Is that a problem? Well, it's not ideal. Yeah, I'd prefer to practice evidence-based medicine independently without the influence of a profit-driven corporate entity. Oh, you'll see.
Yeah, I like the same thing in our Supreme Court. I like our Supreme Court to make decisions without getting like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in quote-unquote donations or gifts.
Still be able to practice medicine however you like. Are you sure? Because research has shown that PE-acquired practices bill 20% more than independent physicians. They also prioritize cash pay services and out-of-network billing.
And we all love that because everyone knows in America we have the worst healthcare infrastructure in the world, where it's going to cost you an arm and a leg just to fix your arm and leg.
Which increases costs for the patient.
I love the zoom in, yeah.
Any more questions? Do you like working for private equity?
He's watching him.
I'm sorry, what was that? Yes. Mr. Banks has been very good to us.
Ironic, his name is Mr. Banks.
Who is Mr. Banks? Bartholomew Banks. Private equity.
Oh,
hello. You and I, we want the same thing from healthcare. And what's that?
Money.
Rapid maximal extraction of wealth by any means necessary.
Yes.
What do you mean by any means necessary? U.S. healthcare is a $4 trillion industry.
Jesus.
If we have to increase nursing home mortality rate by 10% to get our piece of the pie, so be it. Yeah, I don't think we want the same thing. Oh, you don't want to make money? Of course I do. Through organic growth, where
not through people's lives.
my financial goals are balanced by responsible patient care. I'm in it for the long haul. Long haul? This place smells terrible. I want to get out of here as quickly as possible.
And the sad part is people like this, again, this is like joking, but it's real. Like, this is really what happens. You have people owning hospitals that don't know a thing about doctoring, and they're the ones who make the final decision on stuff, and it's so stupid.
Yeah, I don't think this job is right for me. Suit yourself. But if you're ever looking for a job with zero autonomy that'll make you feel bad about yourself, you know where to find me.
Wow.
Yeah, of course. I'll let you know. My yacht.
Yeah, and this is his jets too.
You'll find me on my yacht.
Dude, and the biggest, like, just a little extra anecdote here. The yachts and the jets these rich people have are so bad for the environment, it completely blows out the water like any argument. And a lot of people don't know this, but it blows apart like the argument that's made against the common people of, oh, you guys are to blame for global warming, this, that. No, it's the rich people and the big corporations. Like, you know how much fucking gas a super yacht consumes? It's so bad. Excuse me, Jesus Christ. But anyway, yeah, actually crazy. Actually crazy. Let's go next. But yeah, healthcare is fucked.
Fun fact, for
Oh,
8
another
years, a
fun fact?
Japanese man dressed as a ninja terrorized Osaka, carrying
Oh.
out 254 burglaries and stealing 30 million yen in cash and valuables.
Okay, so I believe I sent this to myself. I don't know if it's to show off the dark dimension or just to have a quick laugh, but...
He became known as the Ninja of Heisei.
The Ninja of Heisei?
The man would come out at night dressed in all black and would perform incredible acts of athleticism to gain access to buildings. Security cameras observed him running effortlessly on top of walls, squeezing between a 6-inch gap between two buildings, and climbing smooth walls.
This is some fucking Split shit right here. For anyone who saw the movie Split, you know what I'm talking about, where the guy changes personalities and one of them can literally run on a wall upside down.
Police pursued him for years, never able to catch their man. Until in
What?
2017, while performing a robbery, the man's face mask slipped, showing his face to a security camera. Police were shocked to see the face of 74-year-old Mitsuaki Tanagawa. Police began following Tanagawa, and during the day, he was a normal, unsuspecting 74-year-old
Look, I don't know if this is an actual picture of him, but this is insane.
man. Then finally one night, police followed Tanagawa to an abandoned building where he entered as an old man and came out as a ninja. Police intercepted him and he was arrested.
Insane, they finally caught him.
After being arrested, Tanagawa said he hated working and thought stealing was quicker. He went on to say, if I were younger, I wouldn't have been caught. I'll quit now as I'm 74 and old enough.
Okay, alright, I think I remember why I sent this to myself. Okay, this story was so good. And also, I just want to bring attention to the comments here if you didn't see them already. Everyone is saying that this man is a real ninja. My brother in Christ, that is a real ninja. He is not just dressed as a ninja. He is a literal ninja. This guy's 74 years old and doing athleticism like this. How the fuck? And you know what's so funny too? He said he hates working. This can like go in so many different directions. The first I want to bring it is he's working at 74 years old. What the fuck? I mean, first of all, that reminds me of France and how, again, they rioted over a 2-year increase from 62 to 64, I believe. Excuse me, if I remember correctly. And like, bruh, this guy's working at 74. What the fuck is he doing? And he said stealing is easier, and he's not wrong. This is so crazy how he's doing this at 74. And he said if he was younger, he wouldn't have been caught. This guy must have been an animal. This is crazy. But yeah, no, I wish everyone could be like this, because, like, again, the biggest thing that fucks with my head, or one of them, is the fact that, oh, hold on, is the fact that things don't need to be this way, right? And now my entire house is sleeping, so now we're all good. But anyway, things do not need to be this way, right? We cannot, we cannot have people starving. We can not have people, like, being financially insecure. We don't need to have these things. We just have it because of the rich people. It's so fucked up. But yeah, oh my god, this is so good. I love the guy. He hates working. Stealing was quicker, and he probably had more fun with it too. This guy is like, he should get a medal for doing this at 74. Fucking amazing. Yo, that's like the champion of the dark dimension this episode. I love this ninja guy.
What the hell is happening to Hollywood right now? I mean,
let it burn.
Perspective. As a rule of thumb, for a movie to be considered successful, it needs to make roughly 3 times the production budget or more. Now, with that in mind, just listen to some of these recent numbers.
So remember, 3 times.
Indiana Jones 5 reportedly had a production budget cost of $300 million before marketing costs. But on the first...
So this is where I honestly believe, like, Indiana Jones is a dated film. I think it's more for people who grew up with it. And now that it's kind of, had its time, I feel like new people don't care. It's more for old people, and old people are old. They have no money because retirement sucks.
First 5 days, it collected a measly $82 million. Everyone
Wow.
Expected The Flash to be one of the biggest box office hits for DC, but they're behind their benchmark by a staggering $350 million.
Maybe they just don't like the freaking crazy wiener head Ezra Miller, because he's fucking insane.
Elementals is currently at a loss of $400 million.
That looks so stupid.
The same big fails go for other recent releases like Teenage Kraken and even
Teenage Kraken looks dumb as hell.
the new Transformers.
So this is where, I believe that's a Disney film, right? Disney Pixar or some shit. This is where Disney Pixar, they usually have, like, I think eras where they change their style, but they, like, keep it consistent for a little bit. I do not like the new era of, like, Disney films, especially, like, the Hotel Transylvania type looking stuff. I think it looks so ugly because they're too, like, stretchy. Like, look at this stupid thing in, like, Teenage Kraken. They look so weird, so, like graphically it looks good, color-wise it looks good. It's just, I don't like the style of how much they can stretch in their, like, elongated limbs and how big their proportions are. I think it looks so ugly. Like, even with the eyes and stuff, they almost look baby-like. Like, I think they really look baby-like. It looks so cringe.
All while other more anti-Hollywood films like Nefarious and Sound of Freedom
Let's go!
saw box office success.
Indeed.
Sound of Freedom, for example, which had an estimated production budget of only $14.5 million, became the top box office movie in America on its release date on the 4th of July.
Wow, I mean, you know, it is the 4th of July, and it looks like a war movie, so I wonder why. People are very patriotic in America.
It somehow beat the $300 million Indiana Jones 5 on its opening day.
And this is where I really want to put forward this idea, and this permeates throughout all aspects of life, not just the movie industry. Sometimes money does not equal success. Sometimes you could throw $1 billion into a game, Destiny, and it could still turn out shit and ass.
The reason for this, well, of course, people are divided. Some say that blockbuster films aren't failing. I mean, look at Spider-Man. But
Spider-Man's an exception. That film, from what I heard, was extremely good.
Hollywood needs to adapt to the fact that people nowadays have so much choice. And not to
Not only do we have so much choice, again, the internet is the great gate opener. The internet is the great equalizer. Now we're exposed to so much. Back in the day, we had very, like, little tolerance for stuff. Now we have so much tolerance because we've seen everything. Back in the day, we were sheltered, we were secluded, we were isolated from a lot of stuff. Nowadays, we've seen everything. We've seen the plots, we've seen the tropes. Something needs to be really new and extremely good. And it's harder, honestly, for the movie makers, I think, because, again, how do you beat eras of film, legendary film, that people have gone through because we just love consuming media? How do you do it? You need to make something better and better and better. Where is there a limit? Because a lot of people, basically, as you go higher and higher, less and less people could do it.
mention more power to sway the box office than ever before. So if a movie just isn't quite compelling enough, no matter how much it costs to make, we'll just wait to get it on demand. But
exactly, or pirate it.
Others are far more cynical, saying movies coming out of Hollywood nowadays in general are progressively getting worse and worse.
Now this also might have to do with a couple things, and I'll kind of bring it back to more Dark Dimension stuff. It could have to do with the Writers Guild striking. Maybe a lot of the good writers left, and they're getting shitty writers. Or maybe it's just this current era of writers is just not that good at making stories.
And the number...
And we've gotten sick of it.
So the question is Hollywood really dying? Or is the bar for the movies you'd actually go and watch in the cinema just getting higher?
I think it's just getting higher. I don't think Hollywood is dying. They're going to adapt, and people are going to throw their money at Hollywood. I just think they have to change. So, yeah, pretty good video, but I hope it burns. Let it burn, let it burn. Fuck Hollywood and those rich fuckheads.
Good morning, good news! A Gallup global study found that 1 in 5 workers are actively sabotaging the companies they work for in a new
look, loud quitting.
Practice called loud quitting. And no, that's not when you tell your boss to f themselves so that the whole office can hear. Instead, it's the alternative to quiet quitting, which is when you work just hard enough not to get fired while actively seeking other job opportunities.
So that's where I'm somewhat of a quiet quitter. I'm not actively seeking other jobs. I'm just like there doing as little as I can because I hate the job and I hate the company.
And more than 50% of the global workforce are doing just that.
Good.
Simultaneously, about 20% of workers are loud quitting, which is...
See, that's insane. I don't believe that statistic.
Doing their jobs in a way that directly harms the organization, undercuts its goals, and opposes its leadership with the intent to collapse the business entirely. And
Jesus Christ. It's like, oh, you fucked with me? Fuck you, I'm fucking with you. This is where I'm glad people are starting to get a backbone. And if I had to guess, it has to be the younger generation, because the older generation just loves taking it. But they didn't have to take it too hard because they had it good.
And it's
the younger generation is definitely the one who wouldn't let this shit slide. Like, oh, if you fuck with us, we'll dox you, we'll post your nudes online. We're very vindictive and we're very revenge oriented. It's kind of fucked up, but I like it. Don't fuck with us. Don't fuck with me.
perfect antidote to generations of companies pretending that its workers are easily replaceable
I love this image right here. Why did they put a monkey in a suit holding a phone?
cogs who have no impact on its success. And that CEOs are the real geniuses who
Yo, why'd they give us so much money?
deserve all the money. Well, let's see how much money you geniuses can make when the cogs start moving in reverse. The fact is, loud quitting highlights two basic truths. If an employee has enough responsibility that it's possible for them to actively
Yo, she's hot.
sabotage the company they work for without it affecting their income, then they're clearly being overworked and underpaid while
Too many people are overworked and underpaid.
not having enough of a stake in the business that is dependent on them.
And that is one of the biggest things I've always said. The best way to get an employee to care about the business, give them an active stake in it. Oh, and you know, this always goes back, and again, I've said this before, this always goes back to commission instead of hourly. Hourly has its problems, commission has its problems too. There's nothing that's perfect, except I think, and this isn't perfect still, but it's way better than the two alternatives. I think having a hybrid one where you get like a base salary, but then it increases the more you do, right? I'm not talking about like the yearly increase in like, you know, pay. I'm talking about like, oh, no matter what, if you come in and you like do something, you're gonna get this much, but if you do it good, you'll get a little bit more, depending on each thing you do.
It's the exact same reason CEOs don't sabotage their own companies, because the success of the company is often directly reflected in the oversized profit share they take home. But most workers don't share in any profits and are
I always say this. What is your reward for hard work? More pay? No, no, no. Your reward for hard work is, guess what? More work. It's so dumb.
instead severely underpaid when business is booming or fired in mass layoffs when business slows down. And it's absurdly clear that companies are not loyal towards their employees, nor is there any trust, because both would require investment.
See, and this is where, again, I try and be, like, neutral with these things, and you know, I try and be unbiased. Obviously, try is the key word here. But this is where I do have to fault, as always, as I usually do. I have to fault Good Morning Bad News. He's very charged towards one side, where, like, he won't even see the other. This is where, like, not every employer is like this. And to kind of give some leeway to the employer, you know, I don't believe in, like, them getting, like, billions while you're paid pennies. I don't believe that. But I do believe employers and owners should get more, because even if they're not producing more work, they're actively handling a lot of the stuff, and they have to deal with the stress of, okay, you know, if there's a real problem, who has to deal with it? The worker could just leave and, you know, not care and quit. But a lot of that overhead is on the employer / owner, and they have to deal with a lot of, like, responsibility. Even if it doesn't have to come up often, it's still very stressful and very important.
Investing in workers. And why would you invest in them when you can just put another $10 million a year into stock buybacks and lobbying to block wage increases and eviscerate workers' rights?
Facts. It's so sad. Let's go next.
We just passed an
Hey, Jeff Jackson!
$890 billion defense bill. I was in the room for it because I'm on the Armed Services Committee, and here's how it went down. This bill is huge. All these different parts are under construction for months, then we bring them all together and we vote on the whole thing.
I absolutely love that Jeff Jackson takes us into his own home and just talks to us. I'm telling you, we are repeating history, right? Granted, we didn't have the war yet, so I guess World War III didn't happen like World War I did around there, which is good. Or I guess you could say that was Ukraine, I guess, but this is where something near this era that happened that really made people like the presidency was the fireside chats by FDR. This is where obviously Jeff Jackson isn't the president, so you can see history's a little bit not accurate one-to-one. But you could see, like, you know, Jeff Jackson is making it very personal. And again, I learned this in media class. A lot of people like the FDR fireside chats is because he just sat down with us like we were people. He was a person. Yeah, he's our president, but he's also a person. And he told us what's up. You know, just tell us what's up.
On that day, hundreds of extra amendments get filed by members who want to get something specific in the bill. This year, there were over 800 amendments. So we do this marathon day where we vote on all this, and this year we finished at 1 a.m. And there are two things you should know about this day. First, a lot of it is designed to fool you. Tons of these amendments are not good faith efforts to try and improve the bill. They're just fake outrage amendments.
Okay, so again, they're trying to fool us. Another big theme of today's episode is the government, you know, surprise, surprise, is trying to fool us.
It's culture war stuff that takes the place of actual scrutiny over the immense number of policy decisions that are in the bill. I mean, you can imagine how much stuff is in the annual defense bill. And most of the people on this committee are very serious people. But this day, the one with the most reporters and cameras in the room, is not the day for serious people. For the most.
So this is where, again, this is how the media works, and this is how society works in general, especially American society. The more of a scene you make, the more of an idiot you look, the more angry you get. We like to publicize the bad, the stupid, because it's interesting. We like it. We don't like publicizing the smart or the kind or good, because it's not interesting. People don't like that. People want to look away, but at the end of the day, they'll look at a car crash. They will. You know, they'll stare at it. They'll want to observe it. They might not like it. At least, you know, they'll say they won't like it, but they'll keep staring. You can't look away. This is where a lot of what happens in society, it's just what's visually more appealing than what's actually good. It's so stupid. It becomes a sort of sick, stupid, like, unimportant game that's very vain.
Most part, it was the March of the Phonies. Second, on this day, the chair of the committee has a very specific job. His job is to say no to his own party. Why? Because he knows that some of the amendments his party is proposing are deal breakers for the other party, and he wants a big bipartisan vote coming out of committee to give the bill the best possible chance of passing the whole House.
See, this is where it becomes some stupid sort of game, right? Where it's like, why do we have these party things? Why do we have like, oh, this is my side and I have to go against them or go with them, or else this is going to happen, that's going to happen. Why do we have sides? Obviously, I know why we have sides, right? Because different people think different things. But the fact that we only have two, and those are the two most important sides, you know, they're the biggest. There's not really much sides aside from Democrat and Republican that really are prevalent in our government. This is where I think it's just more become like sort of a dogma, sort of like a cult thing, where it's like there's no way people will only see it one way or the other. There has to be more avenues of thought here. But there's not, because these two parties are so big and have so much influence that they only let these two exist.
And he did a great job of knocking away the real grenades that would have blown up the whole thing. He definitely knew what he was doing. It was pretty impressive. He let in just enough culture war stuff to satisfy his party, without going that step too far that could sink the whole thing. But the grenade throwers are about to get another chance, because now that it's passed committee, it goes to the whole House, where anyone can propose an amendment, and he can't stop them. So,
yeah, and here's where we have to play this stupid game again of, you know, my team versus your team, not the team of the American people. No, my team, red versus blue.
So the grenade throwers could still blow up the bill, but that's not what they really want. All they really want
attention.
Is a little attention from you.
And look at that. How did I know that? And I swear it's not because I remembered it. I swear it's because I assumed it. Because it's obvious.
So that's the latest, and I'll keep you posted.
It's so sad. It's so sad that, like, these are the important things to these people. Attention. Not the actual people they're serving, because God knows they're not serving us. But anyway, very much appreciated, Jeff Jackson. Thank you very much. Let's go next.
We can't have a national minimum wage.
Oh!
It would harm the economy. We can't pay women the same as men. It would harm the economy.
Oh, shit.
We cannot give workers paid holiday. It would harm the economy.
We can't give our workers a livable wage.
We can't reduce the working day to 8 hours. It would harm the economy. We can't ban children from working. It would harm the economy.
Yeah, so it would harm the economy. You know why? If we didn't have technology, it definitely would harm the economy, but we have technology where these things don't need to be done anymore.
Who else is going to fit between the machinery? We cannot concede any ground nor rights to the revolting peasants. It would harm the economy.
My God.
We can't raise the minimum wage. It would harm the economy.
And they're wrong now.
We can't have a
It's
national
so
minimum.
right. It's so fucking right. It's so correct. And it's sad because I really feel like showing these things and like operating the way I am, I really feel like I'm getting like radicalized, or it looks like that. It looks like I'm getting radicalized, but bro, it's just making so much sense. Like, how the fuck it's gonna harm the economy? Harm this dick. We need to fuck the economy, because the economy, like this person says, it's the fucking wealthy, it's the rich, it's not us. And then now again, because of the internet, because the great equalizer, the great gate of information is open, now we're realizing it, which is good. Realizing, it's like Captain Planet says, right? Knowing is half the battle. Or no, that's G.I. Joe. I'm fucking stupid. Knowing is half the battle with G.I. Joe. Next.
All right.
Oh my Jesus Christ, this is loud.
I think think it's time we ban cigarettes.
Sounds good.
Yes,
Wait a
please.
second. What if I donated you $2 million and you don't do that?
Deal.
Wait, that was really corrupt. We should make donating illegal. Now wait a second. What if I donate you $2 million to not make it illegal? You got yourself a deal. This is America.
And the saddest part is, again, it's a joke, but not really. Let me write that as a potential episode like name. It's a joke, but not really. It's actually insane. These are jokes, but it's really not. Like, bro, this is how reality works. It's sad, it's depressing, and it's fucked. Let's go next. Wake up, corporate weapons. Let's go make money for someone else's family. The shareholders need us. Hey, you know what's so funny about this? This actually looks almost exactly like me in the office. Like, it's actually scary. I'm so sad, man. I hate office work. I hate working. Call me the fucking Japanese ninja, except I'm not like that. I'm just strong. I'm not like nimble. At least anymore. Yeah, I just replayed that because I like the little pirate jig. But yeah. This is the mentality they try and push on us. And this is where, if I ever somehow find a significant other and have a child, I'm always going to tell them, work is not the end all be all. It can be if you want it to be, but don't let people think that that's what it is. It's not unless you want it to be. Because, oh my god, too many times, like, work is our whole lives in America, and people love... I think they honestly convince themselves they love it, because I know a majority of people... Most people hate their jobs, but I think they have to convince themselves, they have to literally delude themselves, or else they're going to do drugs or drink, and they might do that too. But they have to delude themselves mentally to be like, oh no, I actually like this, I love coming to work. Not the fact that I need to, and, you know, that's the only way I can muster the strength to go. It's so sad.
One of the largest labor strikes in U.S. history is about to go down.
Okay, so we're back to the UPS strike. Oh shit! So again, this resolved a little bit before. This resolved a while back, but I don't want to spoil the surprise for what happened. But we've been covering this for a couple episodes now.
In a couple of days, and you haven't heard about it for good reason. Close to 400,000 UPS workers are about to walk off the job because corporate can't meet the workers' demands for safer working conditions and better pay.
Yeah, they literally can't give them a fucking AC in their car in the sweltering heat in the summer, to the point where I think a couple people passed out, and I think a dude died.
After posting $6 billion in extra revenue year over year for the last 3 years since the start of COVID. I hope you heard me when I said the word extra, by the way, because that's what that $6 billion represents. It's on top of the $100 billion that they did in 2022. And so, like, I don't know, fucking call me crazy, but I figure if you're gonna spend $10 billion on stock buy.
Yeah, call me crazy too, because that's how I feel covering this shit. Because again, this shit seems so obvious. It seems so like how is this allowed? And we know how it's allowed, but it's like, bruh, I just keep saying the same thing, and it's a little charged, and obviously maybe society made us feel that way or made it look that way, because it definitely challenges the status quo, which the rich people do not want. But again, even saying this, I sound like a fucking conspiracy theorist. But again, aliens are real, so are there really conspiracy theorists anymore?
Buybacks and dividends, I figure the workers should eat a little bit too. Oh, fun fact, if you took every employee from top to bottom and subtracted all the costs of running that shit, including logistics, asset depreciation, and fucking cardboard supplies, you could still pay everyone $180K a year. I'm talking every single person that works at that company.
Wow.
You know what's even crazier? The UPS workers aren't even asking for that big of a pay increase. You want to know what's top of mind for them? Fucking AC in the truck. Because last week, this dude died of heat exhaustion trying to deliver packages to some dude's doorstep.
You know what's sad? This is a young guy. He looks healthy. He doesn't look fat. He's 24 years old. He looks like he has his whole life ahead of him. And how did he die? Imagine in the obituary, which, you know, no one reads the newspaper anymore, but imagine if obituaries were still around, right? And you just read in the newspaper, like, oh yeah, local man died from, anaphylactic shock. Local man got shot. Local man choked on a pickle. Oh, look, this guy died because he was delivering for USPS. And it was hot.
Quite literally collapsed in front of the Nest camera. The workers are also obviously asking for a bump in pay too, because, you know, they're watching UPS spend billions of dollars in stock buybacks just so like 5 people at the company can buy another yacht, but they're not asking for a bump in pay the way you think they are. So currently at UPS, there's a 2-tier salary system. The full-time workers get about like $95K a year, and
which is actually very accurate. This is where, again, the great skeptic sees things and he questions. We have another video coming up in the future. We're not going to get to it today, but it's from a USPS member and he actually confirms it's around 90K.
Part-time workers getting raped at $17 an
Whoa, I don't condone that word.
hour, delivering packages in 100-degree weather. So yeah, the union wants to get rid of that. But they also want to get rid of mandatory overtime. So if you thought the full-time workers were getting it good, nah, they're clocking in like 65 hours a week, and they can't say no to overtime to get that pay. There's also some smaller demands, like an extra day off to recognize MLK Day, or like better workers' protections from harassment.
This doesn't sound like anything crazy, but I bet you to the rich people, they're like, oh, this might cost us $1 billion of our $6 billion already? Never! Of our extra profit? Never!
From like upper management. But the whole point of the video is that this is the single most important workers demonstration that we've seen since the 1930s. And I promise you, even though it doesn't feel like most people are making a big deal about this, the Waltons, Jeff Bezos, the Murdochs, like, they're watching this event closely. Like, whatever happens with UPS, like, companies like Amazon, Walmart, Starbucks, like, they're scenario playing, like, the ramifications of, like, the winners and losers of this. Like, I can't, hold on. I can't stress to you enough the types of, I can't stress to you enough the types of conversations that rich people are having about the situation. It's important.
Yeah, I mean, it's all true. A lot of what he says here, and especially, like, you know, we've seen this guy before. I question some of what he says, not as much as Good Morning Bad News. Even though, ironically enough, they cite their sources. I've never read up on them, though, because you could easily spin something even if you cite your source. But, yeah, as we've seen with other stuff, too, like, other people have cited their sources. And remember the guy who got, accused of going to the lady to make a gay website, and she denied him? No one checked up on it, and when they actually finally did, they found out the guy wasn't gay and he had a family. He had no clue this was going on. It's crazy. It's actually crazy. But anyway, yeah, UPS, you know, crazy ass shit. And it's sad that it's UPS because that they're showing UPS. UPS is the big one, and the Writers Guild with Hollywood now and the shows, but they're not the only ones, and that's the sad, fucked up part. Next.
China revealed plans for an experimental nuclear reactor that could power the country for 20,000 years. The new reactor operates on liquid thorium instead of uranium. Thorium reactors work by dissolving thorium into liquid fluoride salt, which undergoes nuclear fission when bombarded with high-energy neutrons. The use of thorium instead of uranium offers several advantages. Thorium is cheaper, more abundant, and less used for nuclear weapons. Unlike uranium, thorium does not require water for cooling. The molten salt nuclear reactor is expected to be safer than traditional reactors, as the molten salt quickly solidifies when exposed to air, minimizing potential radiation leaks. The reactor aligns with China's goal of achieving carbon neutrality by 2060.
See, when I hear something like that, achieving carbon neutrality by 2060, again, I've said this before, we're already hearing stuff and seeing people literally, you know, environmentalists chained themselves to like JP Morgan and Chase and like make all these protests saying we are out of time, we are at near the limit, if we don't change now it's over. Bro, 2060s in 30 years, wait, no, 40 years about, at that point it's done. If they you know, if they get to carbon neutrality, then, you know, good job, you get a gold little star, but you really didn't pass the test. Like, come on.
The country is the world's largest emitter of greenhouse gases.
Yeah, and don't worry guys, in 40 years, they'll go neutral. So stupid.
27% of the global total. China's pursuit of thorium reactors is at the forefront of global efforts. The country's investment
taking over the world
in carbon-neutral technologies also extend to hydroelectric, solar, and wind power. But the country faces challenges from extreme weather events such as severe flooding. China revealed...
So... I kind of just thought of this like scenario in my head, right? China, I just made a joke they want to take over the world. I don't know if it's a joke or not, and this is where I kind of question things, right? Back in the day before the internet, when people were stupid, and they're still stupid now, I'm not saying they're not, but back in the day when they were more stupid, people wanted to conquer the world just to conquer. Alexander the Great wanted it, the British Empire, you know, the sun never set on them for a while. And they all just want to keep conquering. But for what reason? To increase their power, maybe. But now we live in a world where, like, firstly, the US has its dick up everyone's ass. So, you know, you have to deal with that. And if it's not going to be the U.S., it's going to be someone else. It's not like getting rid of the U.S. is going to get rid of the problem. But for right now, it's the United States. This is where, at this point, I don't know if Xi Jinping wants to rule the world. Maybe he does. But the question is, can you? Because I feel like the more you expand, the more you conquer, the harder it is to maintain it. So at that point, what are you doing? I feel like if I was a leader, and I don't know if the leaders think like this, but if I was a leader, I would just be like, okay, everyone has their space. Let's all work together for the betterment of everyone. Let's figure things out. Let's work together, and let's just respect each other, right? I don't need to rule the world, because ruling the world, number one, yeah, sure, it's a nice flex, but it's harder than, you know, you're basically thinking it's better than it actually is. Like, when you actually go through it and try and do it, it's going to be really shitty. So at that point, maintain your border, right? Or expand it with the agreement of others, and just all work together. Let's make like a one border world where we're all just working together, right? Or let's just keep within our borders and be like, okay, we're going to improve. We're not going to fight anyone. Let's work together. That's it. Basically, let's just be pleasant. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, this whole thorium thing, pretty interesting. I think the first comment sums it up pretty good. The reason uranium is rather used than thorium is because depleted thorium cannot be weaponized. I'm pretty sure that is one of the big reasons. But I'm not sure. Because this is where the energy crisis is going to start hitting us again sooner and sooner. I don't understand, right? This is where it baffles me how we produce like how many millions of barrels of oil a day. I don't know how that's possible. I honestly don't, because a barrel of oil, a barrel is a big thing, right? Obviously, it's a natural resource. Maybe you have to refine it a little bit. I don't know. I don't know the process, but to get a barrel of oil, I don't feel like is very quick. How are they doing millions of? Let me see this. Let me see this. How much oil is produced per day? 93.9 million barrels a day. How? How are that many barrels like being made? This is where I don't understand. How much liquid oil is in the earth? Number one, how is it not fully depleted? Number two, and number three, where are we getting all the materials to store this shit? I feel like, how do we not have the earth just terraformed into like a chunk of nothing because we're turning all the resources into something else? I don't get it. Like, it's baffling to me that that's the amount made per day. How? Again, I don't understand it. But yeah, this is why I think this is very important. The energy thing needs to get solved sooner rather than later. And, 2060, that's the best we'll get, at least from the worst offender. So, Dark Dimension. Let's go next.
So yesterday...
Oh, it's Adam Conover. Okay, so we're gonna get an update on the,
Executive.
Oh, shit. On the, Fuck, what's it called? The writers, strike and stuff. The Writers Guild, the Writers Strike, all that shit. Let's see.
Told the press that they were planning on waiting out the Writers Guild until October, when writers will lose our apartments and homes and become homeless, and then be forced to come back to the table and take a bad deal. Now, first...
Look at that. That's their reaction. That's the rich people's reaction. Oh, you guys want to live? No, we want to keep you in poverty to the point where you literally have to be our slaves. That is like, obviously I'm joking, but again, it's not that much of a joke. That's near the reality of what it is. Oh, we will wait you guys out because we have oodles of mountains of money. We don't need to do shit to actually help you because we have no humanity. We just want more money. Starve and then come back and take your pennies. You fucking cretins.
First of all, I cannot believe that they said this.
Yeah, I can't believe they said this either.
Took the mask off. They told on themselves.
And see, this is sad, right? Because as Adam Conover says, they took the mask off. Everyone knows they have a mask, and we're just like allowing this shit. It's crazy.
Was bigger than anyone I have ever seen, but also they are dead fucking wrong.
I hope they're wrong. This is where, I want them to be wrong, but you can't argue with reality. Eventually, people are gonna run out of money. I don't think they can win, a game of chicken with these big companies, with these big film industries, because they have, again, oodles of mountains of cash, right? I don't think you can outlast them. So at that point, what are you going to do? The only solution is go get a different job. But at that point, they're in the same issue if they're not making any money because there's all the other places are shitty too.
Because writers are in this for the long haul.
I hope so.
We have a strike fund that we use to support other writers who are...
Which is going to eventually run out.
...on hard times. We are raising money for crew members and other people affected by the strike. And most important...
See, unless something big happens to the strike where, like, other people get involved. And I'm not talking about just donating. I'm talking about, like, maybe... cross-organizational involvement of, okay, you know what? Imagine this. Imagine I'm a food worker. Or imagine, even better, imagine I'm a doctor. If I'm a doctor and I say, you know what, I'm going to strike until the Writers Guild gets what's fair to them and what's good for us, at that point, they're gonna like, you know, the rich people are gonna start talking. They're like, okay, listen, the writers, we could last them out. The doctors, we need them. So give the writers what they want. This is where, again, people just need to come together, man.
Certainly, we know that if we do not get a fair deal, we will not have jobs to go back to. So we are not going to leave this picket line.
Good.
We are going to keep withholding our labor until the companies come back to the table and make a fair deal. And they're going to do that. You know why? Because they need us.
Not true. There's always going to be scabs, and eventually new blood will be cycled in. And it might be better, too, because, again, at the end of the day, a lot of people need money. Sure, you got all the current writers and stuff, maybe, well, not all, but most of them, you know, with your little strike, but the new generation, man, they don't want to go hungry.
Every dollar they make begins with us, so they are not starving us out. We are starving them out. And until they come back to the table, there will be no writing.
Good. This is where, like, I'm very surprised, right? And I really hope, and I'm very scared for this. This is where I really hope it doesn't come out that Adam secretly is working for, like, the, you know, the film industry, and he's like, you know, even though he's like on social media, on TikTok and stuff, saying like, fuck them, we're not stopping this and that. What if he's just like a total like shell, and, you know, he's just like bumming out to them, and he's just like taking money from them? Like, that would be so sad, but it's something that I fully see. After the big thing with Sam Altman with OpenAI, with, like, you know, ChatGPT being shown to be corrupt and stuff, it's like, bro, what isn't corrupt at this point? I feel like if there's someone that's too good to be true, they're probably corrupt, and they're just playing for the other side secretly, and it's scary. I really hope Adam actually truly means what he's, like, doing, and I think he does, but, like, God, man, there's so many, like, or there's so few people that are like this, where, like, they actually are trying to stand up for what's right. And I don't know if they've just haven't been corrupted yet or uncorruptible. But again, if this is like how Adam actually is, massive respect to him, man. He was one of the people who was like, you know, I don't know if he was like super rich, but I knew him, and I don't know many people. Adam Conover I knew because, you know, Adam ruins everything. Where he's probably not bad off, and he's still willing to like stick with these people to get better for them. I don't think he necessarily needs it. He might, I don't know the guy, I don't know his spending habits, but again, he's fighting for something that I think is 100% good. So, great video, but again, dark reality of I don't know how long this could last.
Wouldn't you know it, this week we got more allegations about a conservative high...
Whenever I see this guy's face, I get so upset now. Whenever I see Clarence Thomas, I just think, how the fuck is this guy not in jail?
Court justice failing to disclose a luxury trip with a major Republican mega donor who had business before the court. Only this time, it wasn't Clarence Thomas. Instead, we got new hot tea on Samuel Alito. Because according to a report from ProPublica, back in July of 2008, Alito took a vacation at a luxury fishing lodge that charged more than $1,000 a day. And notably, that jet was covered by the hedge fund billionaire and GOP.
I make 1/10 of that in like 2 weeks.
Mega donor Paul Singer. And Singer is a key figure.
No, sorry. I make 1/10 of that a day. In 2 weeks, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, every day I make 1/10 of that.
In addition to numerous ethics experts saying by failing to report this trip on Singer's jet and his financial disclosures, Alito violated federal law. That's not the craziest part of it.
He violated federal law, and did anything happen to him? I don't think so.
Story, but arguably the most explosive part of this story that really emphasizes how fucking scary it is that this small group of powerful rich conservatives is so closely tied to the justices is the revelation that Singer has repeatedly had business before the Supreme Court. And this is the kicker: Alito never recused himself. And his most famous case, which involved his purchase of debt from Argentina in the early 2000s, eventually made it to the Supreme Court. A case where if Singer won, he stood to make an absolute fortune. Where we're talking about a payout that ended up being $2.4 billion. And ultimately, we saw the High Court ruling in Singer's favor, with Alito, of course, in the majority. Wouldn't you know it, this week?
Crazy corruption. Now, this is where I don't want to, like, you know, fully convict them, fully nail them to the cross. This is where it could be a coincidence, but you never want it to be in this position where you have to question, is or isn't it a coincidence that you just happen to vote that way? If that's where you're at, something's wrong. It's disgusting, it's bad, it's stupid, and I'm gonna repeat myself because a lot of things are disgusting, bad, and stupid, but this is another example of it. It's fucking horrid. These people need to be thrown in fucking jail, the fact that they did this shit. And they're the top of the law. There's no authority higher than them in law, aside from, I don't know, maybe the guy who enforces it, the president. But aside from him, right? Unless I passed the civic test, like according to, you know, Vivek Ramaswamy. I don't really know too much, but from what I do know, The Supreme Court has the final say on things. Like they can literally interpret the Constitution, from what I know. And the fact that they're corrupt and this is just like not punishable is insane. It's disgusting. I'm disgusted. Dark Dimension's disgusting. I love the comments. OMG, I'm like so surprised, so shocking. Wow. It's crazy. Let's go next.
This person is about to reveal the shocking truth about omega-3 supplements.
No way.
And he's got some styrofoam to demonstrate. So
oh, shit. Okay, so I actually remember this one. So just know, this is what I always talk about as the great skeptic.
I want to tune into this one. First, he shows us the supplements.
They kind of look like candy. I like it.
In case we didn't know what they were.
Oh, look at them. Yeah, fish oil things smell so weird. I don't know.
Them onto a table and then cuts the top off, presumably.
Whoa, he did that kind of sexually. Whoa.
To show us the dangers that lurk inside.
Oh,
Let's
shit.
see what happens here.
Yo, he fucking penetrated it.
Here. Then he pours the juice from the omega-3 supplement.
Yo, he squirted it.
Onto the styrofoam.
Yo, he keeps squirting it.
Then all you need to do is wait 2 minutes and the styrofoam dissolves.
Oh, shit. I feel like if you use orange juice, this might happen too. Like,
this is why this is the dumbest video you'll see today. The omega-3 supplements contain ethyl esters, non-polar compounds, and non-polar compounds will dissolve other non-polar compounds like styrofoam. Idiotic videos like this are contagious and
this is where I honestly question, right? This guy in the background, how do we know he actually left it there? It did not look like it would have made that big of a hole.
Will lower your
and he's acting shocked like, whoa, like, yeah, look, I showed you guys. This guy looks like a fucking kid in an adult body. It's so weird. But, you know, I have a lot of things to question here. Number one, is this guy even showing us what the fish oil even actually did? Number two, is the guy who's posting the video actually a fucking doctor? Like, I don't understand.
This person...
But yeah, this is a prime example of don't believe everything you see, even if people are confident. It's so stupid. Like, this is so good, but it's so stupid, too. Craziness. But question everything, people.
What up, council?
This, I remember this video for sure. Also, we're a month behind, as you can see. It's 8/11 today. It's August 11th. This was on July 11th. So we're a month behind, and we're making decent time, too. We're only an hour in. Wow, time flies. Anyway, I remember this video greatly because I saved this, and this is such a funny video. It's so good. It's so amazing.
I'm here to discuss artificial intelligence.
I don't remember if I showed this before. I might have, but if I have, it doesn't matter. Let's watch it again.
AI is going to take all of our jobs
yes.
and render us useless.
Yes, most of us,
I, for one, am stoked.
Too.
I hate jobs.
Because, you know why I'm stoked? Either A, they're going to get rid of our jobs and we're not going to have to work, which can be a good or bad thing. And it could be a good thing because, again, if we don't have to work, no working. But if we don't have to work and we still need money, the government has to do something at that point. And if they don't, they either have to wipe out a lot of the population, which at that point it's not my problem, it's done, you know, because I'm dead. Or number two, they have to give us money. They have to implement socialism. So either way, it's either not going to be my problem or the problem's going to be solved for me. Like, it's crazy. I'm stoked for this shit. Because again, with that many people losing their jobs to AI, it's going to be too many to just literally let it sit there. Like that, at that point, we won't be mindless sheep. We'll be too many mindless sheep and we'll start thinking because we're together. Like, there's a certain critical mass point where if there's so much bad with too many people, something's going to happen.
Jobs. I had a job once, and everyone there talked in weird voices.
Yeah, same.
AI is gonna 86 all of that.
I don't know what that means, but yeah.
But we'll still need money. That is why I'm asking the government to step up and make sure we're breaded. We're proposing a small payment plan or a small PP of 10G a month for...
I like how this white guy in the background is just stone faced. Like, he looks like he's like in La La Land right now.
Every citizen, so we can party and look hot and enjoy our free time.
Wow, what a crazy concept in our society. Enjoy our free time? No way.
Now, we can't afford to just sit back and have AI bust through and not have a plan. We gotta make sure people have food and houses.
Yep, and happiness.
So we can party and rage in peace.
that doesn't really make sense, raging in peace, but sure.
So instruct AI to pay all of us, and then you dudes can retire gracefully before you get replaced. And we'll see you at the beach.
Yeah.
The bonfires will be epic.
Yeah, the guy in the back agrees. The guy who's like fucking in like Neverland.
Everybody will be hot. Martin Luther King.
Yeah, 9/11 was bad. Yeah. I know that guy liked it too. He's like, yeah, he's speaking facts. So this is where I really do hope people in our government like agree to this, and I hope they're not like stupid enough to see like if we don't do this, there's gonna be too many people displaced and in economic dire straits to where like they're gonna rise up against us and have our heads. Because once mob mentality starts, it's very hard to stop. Look at what France did to BlackRock, rightly so, or maybe not rightly so, because I own some stock in them. But yeah, this is where I don't know if this is fake. I don't know if this is real. I think it is from what I heard, because Asmongold reacted to this. They told him it was real, but again, the great skeptic doubts this. But yeah, no, this is, regardless of real or not, regardless of if it's a joke or not, it really isn't. This is true. This is honestly true. With the way AI is going, this should really be like taken into consideration, man. We need the small PP. Oh yeah, we need it. I don't know if we'll get it. Dark Dimension. Next.
Instead of debating boomers of what their housing cost was in 1980 compared to millennials in 2023, let's just look at the...
Okay, so another common topic we've been over 100 times before. And I going forward in the future, I'm trying to lessen the amount of videos I'm sending myself, because even though I don't mind saying it every episode, I don't like going over 90% of the same shit. So I think over time, not only have I been using TikTok less because I'm more depressed than ever, but I'm also trying to send myself less TikToks of the Dark Dimension if it's the same shit we've always seen. A lot of the time I like to send me the same shit just to really like confirm it, to kind of cement it and just, yeah, this is actually happening. It's not a one-off video thing I saw. Of course, the algorithm could be biased, but this is where I think I've showed stuff enough times. I've repeated it like, too many times, I would say. So I think we get the idea, and I kind of want to lessen it and just go over like new stuff or stuff I think is pertinent. But yeah.
The past 3 years. So in Florida, there was a home for...
We've seen stuff about this before, though. Housing prices, we all know they're ridiculous.
$320,000 in 2020. That same home is selling for $550,000 today. But let's break that down. If you were to buy the house in...
See, the great skeptic, me, questions, is he just pulling these numbers out of his ass, or can he actually show us proof of this?
2020. If you did a 2.5% interest rate on a $320,000 home...
Doesn't exist anymore. It's not 2.5, it's like 7.
Your payment would only be $2,200.
So triple. So triple this payment. So $2,200 a month. That's pretty much the price of rent nowadays, at least in the Bronx, for a one-bedroom apartment. This is where triple that, and then, okay, now you can pay your mortgage if you make that a month. What the fuck?
A month, and you would need to make $80,000 a year to qualify for that loan with no debt.
Wow.
Now fast forward to today. If you bought it in 2023 for $550,000, it's a 7% interest rate, which your payment is now $3,800, where you would need to make...
Okay, well, I was wrong with the numbers. I thought it was tripled, but okay.
$130,000 a year with no debts to afford that house. This just happened over the past 3 years. This is not talking about the 1980s. This is just the past 3 years. But here's where it gets like, ugh. If you kept that $30,000 loan, if you bought it in 2020, you would end up spending $146,000 over 30 years on interest. That same home, if you bought it in 2023 and never refinanced and just kept it, it would cost you $789,000 in interest over the course of those 30 years.
So it literally costs you more than the actual price in interest alone. This is where, again, it doesn't look like that bad. Oh, 2.5 to 7, that's pretty low. Nope, these percentages matter. These percentages matter. The bigger the numbers you deal with, the more the percentages matter, even if you think it's a little bit. It's actually insane.
So we're not even having to debate what the wages were or how the boomers had it in the 80s. This is just what happened in the past 3 years, and this is housing. Don't even get me into groceries.
This is disgusting. And again, I'm always going to be the great skeptic. I'm always going to question things. Excuse me. I'm always going to be burping. I don't know why. But we have to assume it's at least true to go forward with the argument. If this is true, which we're assuming it is, this is disgusting. It's nothing new, but oh my god, it's disgusting. And like I said, 3 of the biggest that you will probably ever have: medical bills, mortgage, student loans.
Automate me into oblivion!
Yes!
Get it over with, tech overlords! Rip the band-aid off and give AI my job right now!
Give it to all of us right now so we could start with the socialism revolution.
I'm a stupid human with no marketable skills.
That's how I feel.
It took me 12 years to complete basic schooling.
AI could do it in a couple seconds.
I'm emotional, distracted, and I need lots of time to pee and poop.
Yes.
I need at least 3 hours a day to shove processed food into the noisiest hole in my body.
The ass.
The second I start work, I immediately think of being off work.
And I think this is true for 90% of people.
I need to mildly poison myself every day to cope with the stress of 30 to 40 hours of moderate mental labor.
Big facts, except I don't do that. I just game and make videos.
I'll always ask for more money for doing the exact same amount of work.
Inflation.
I can't model the future based on current analytics and trends.
Wow.
I can't comb millions of databases in 15 seconds. I
Whoa.
can barely do long division with a pen and paper.
True.
Any small amount of productivity I have is immediately derailed.
Why is he showing us his ass here?
If I see someone with a huge ass, I'd
Hey, that's why.
rather think up dumb little worlds in my head than be efficient or productive.
Yup, true.
I'm ready to go completely feral.
What the hell?
And uncontacted for decades until I'm killed in the wilderness by a natural disaster. Well, it's been a nice run for humanity.
That's how I feel. Yo, this shit's crazy, man. This shit is crazy. I love the comment here. I'm in tech and my current assignment is to automate my own job. Dude, I can only imagine again in like a year or two where this shit's gonna be. I hope it's like somewhere good, but I don't think so. Next, Dark Dimension.
I'm here at Hudson Yards!
Hey, that's in Manhattan. That's near me.
The most
Look how nice it looks like.
expensive real estate in America. This took $25 billion to build. You guys think Hudson Yards is cool? Well, let me wake y'all up. Now,
Wake
this
us up.
side,
Wake us
the
up.
western side was where affordable housing was supposed to be built. Oh, wait. But suddenly, they didn't have enough money in the budget to build affordable housing.
Yo, but they had 25 billion. Where did it go?
It has repeatedly been delayed for 10 years.
Wow.
These pretty buildings, right? Well, guess what? They're all empty. And I'm about to prove it. I'm checking this my building right now, so you know, it's just it's like regular.
I like how a random guy dapped him up.
No one can.
You know why they dapped him up? I think they dapped him up because they thought he was an influencer because he was, you know, recording a video.
Afford to be here. I'm proving it to y'all, bro. Hudson Yards is empty. I'm proving it to y'all.
Adidas,
Stay safe,
baby.
NYC, and stay real.
Stay real. Dude, this is real. It's so sad. The music, like, his emotion. I feel like this guy or this kid, I don't know how old he is, but this gentleman, he really cares. And, you know, he's trying to show us this is fucked. Like, what is this? I think this guy, I feel more like this guy is real and actually cares more about New York City than the fucking politicians do. It's actually crazy. It's so sad. It's so sad. But yeah, New York, everyone. Amazing. Dark Dimension, next.
Hey.
Hey.
Real quick. It is
Real quick.
Thursday, July 13th, and you may have already heard that the Screen Actors Guild may be joining the Writers Guild in a strike. As a
Yes,
reminder,
they
the
did.
Writers Guild has been striking for like 70 days, like months.
Jesus.
The people that they
Well,
are
too,
ostensibly
yeah.
supposed to come to a deal with have stated that their intended goal is to just wait out the workers until they're starving and homeless.
And we just saw that with Adam Conover. So, again, I don't think Adam Conover is faking it, because now we have another somewhat reputable source confirming it. It's actually crazy.
Force them to take a worse deal. That is the baseline that these people are trying to work with.
Again, look at the workers like guild, right? Or look at the writers guild. This is where, similar to the UPS Teamsters, what are they arguing for? What are they asking for? Is it something ridiculous? Is it something that, you know, by non-rich people seems unfair? No, and this is again where I say rich people are disconnected from reality and society. They don't think properly. They think these things are okay. And they're not okay, because if you ask a rich person, they'll be like, oh, this is not right. Well, is it not right to you because all your rich people think so? Or is it not right in reality because, it's actually affecting us in a way you won't understand? It's crazy.
These are workers whose demands are pay us somewhat equitably.
Yeah, pay us so we can live and not be miserable and want to shoot ourselves.
For the value we produce for your organization.
Pay us somewhat because we're making you all the money. And if you just say it out loud like that, think about it. I am making you billions of dollars and you are giving me nothing. It doesn't make sense. Why is this happening in reality? It just baffles me.
But instead of that, their employers would rather them be homeless and starve. Shit's real bad right now. Like, it's not great. And if you're an employee, you know what I'm talking about.
I definitely know what he's talking about.
If you are not a member of the owning class, you're probably not really doing super wonderfully.
Yeah, not at all.
You're either like doing fine or it ain't good.
Yeah, and the sad part is people are getting used to it, and it's not something that people should get used to, because then when you get used to it, it becomes a norm, and it's a lot harder to change once you're used to it. Bad or good. Bad or good.
Very little in the way of like excelling right now. And if you are, wonderful for you. I hope that if you are excelling, you understand the predicament that many of your peers are in. And
the rich don't. The rich would rather us get worse so we can give them more, make them more money.
Stand with them in solidarity, because that is the only way that we're going to make the world better for our peers.
Yep.
We are hopefully nearing the end of a long stint of the got mine mentality that has essentially torn our economy into shreds.
Yep.
The brain rot of trickle-down economics has found its way into everything.
And it's proven trickle-down economics is another, big symptom for late-stage capitalism.
And has just tainted all thought around labor. You don't want to be in a union that can represent you and negotiate on your behalf using lawyers who are specifically trained in negotiating contracts.
No, we don't want that.
You just want to work directly with the company, because then we'll treat you right and you'll get yours. If you get rid of our checks and balances, you'll see benefits. Trust me. How's that healthcare?
Yeah. Look at the Supreme Court justices. Trust them. It's so stupid.
By the way, because these executives, the ones who are getting the biggest paychecks, are producing the least value.
And this is true. Now, again, in favor of them, they do have to have a lot of responsibility. But after a certain point, let's just say you make $1 billion, you could fuck up everything and you'll be fine. At a certain point, you basically reach critical mass to where you're fine. It doesn't matter what you do anymore. Even if you get fucked, even if you burn everything down, you're still fine for life, and probably your grandkids' life too.
They don't add to anything, they simply hold it all and skim off of it as best they can.
True.
Hoarding wealth and distributing it as minimally as possible is not a valuable service to society.
Now, this is going to be real conspiracy theorist here, but this is honestly what I'm thinking. What if this already happened, right? What if in the past, because there's things in the world that we can't explain yet, and I think science will unearth it eventually. Not everything, because science isn't perfect. Or science is perfect, but we're imperfect. So we can't fully understand things, or we can't fully comprehend things. I'll give you an example with light waves, right? We know there's different wavelengths of light waves to where there's infrared waves, there's radio waves, gamma waves. We can't see these things, but they exist. And why can't we see them? Because they're outside of our spectrum of vision, right? But they're still there. This is where the science, we know because of science it's there, and they exist, and if we had a full spectrum of vision, we could see it, but we can't see it because we're limited creatures. This is where I think science does explain everything. It's just we can't fully comprehend science, because we're not perfect. This is where, I don't know why I went on this whole tangent, but yeah, I forgot. Let me run the video and let me see what he said.
They care. Hoarding wealth and distributing it as minimally as possible is not a valuable service to society. So why are they being...
Okay, I remember. So, or I think I remember. So basically, right? No, I forgot. Fuck, let's just keep going.
Paid as if it is. And why are they revered as gods?
Because
especially
they set
because
it up like
I'm
that.
fairly...
Oh, I remember. So what if this happened in the past, right? Where we had a whole civilization that rose up, had technological advancements, and it was kind of the same way where the rich were against the poor. The rich wanted to rather have us be homeless and starve than give us I'm not going to say equity, but equal treatment or decent treatment, right? And what if got to the point where it reached super critical mass where there was enough poor homeless people, miserable people, that they rose up against the rich, and the technology was so good the rich fought back and everyone blew up. And then we restarted, you know, humanity, and, you know, now we're back here repeating it. Because I do believe history repeats itself. This is where, again, what if this happened in the past? Because we have, you know, these sayings like, oh, there's no way the Great Pyramids could have been built with the tech of that time. It's impossible, this, that, doesn't make sense. But, you know, somehow they were built. They exist. They're real as far as I know. I haven't seen it, but I believe it. This is where, again, what if we already went through this and the rich people were so against all the poor people that they never conceded, like, all right, you know what, fuck it, we're going where we're killing them, and they killed almost everyone, and we just restarted. Who knows? And who knows if that's not going to happen if it hasn't already.
Certain, they bleed the same as the rest of us. Laborers and unions have always been the thing that push forward society and increase our quality of life.
That's not fully true, though. Capitalism has definitely increased it and push things forward. It's just, again, we're in the late stage. But capitalism, again, I want to bring out this idea. It's not fully bad. It really isn't fully bad.
Weekend, simping for billionaires and thinking that these organizations have any moral standing in the slightest
None of them
is
do.
a false start.
It's the same thing with the court justices, or just even taking it further, rich people. And again, I've said this before. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when, right? Oh, are they evil? Are they corrupt? Maybe. No, it's not a maybe, it's yes. Are they going to get caught is the real question. I fully believe the majority, and it's the opposite with the cops, right? With the cops, I think the few bad apples ruin the bunch. With the rich people, I think the whole orchid is mostly terrible. There's probably some nice, shiny, bright red apples in there, but they're mixed in with all the shit. It's fucking disgusting. I think most rich people are fucking sick fucks who do fucked up shit. Honestly.
If they had it their way, they would have hired you at age 13, paid you virtually nothing,
and as we saw with the other video today, that's how it used to be,
and waited until your body was withering away to cast you aside with no retirement plan. Oh,
yeah.
Wait. That's what they're doing.
What? No way.
As they've had their way. Wealth is produced by the workers, and the entire core concept of capitalism is to feign scarcity. So, I don't know. I'm doing some calculations in my head, but something doesn't add up.
It doesn't.
I'm going to go on my vacation now.
Good for him.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey.
Okay, cool. Yeah, crazy ass shit. Dark Dimension. Let's go next. Jesus Christ.
America is the greatest country on earth.
Oh, is it now?
Strongest, the richest, the most powerful country on earth.
This is where I believe one of those is definitely true.
An American, I'm sure you've heard that roughly 135 times a year. 235 if you go to public school. 335 if you go to a Christian academy. We're told that Americans have the best lives of any people in the world.
We definitely don't have the best health care.
That we have low taxes, small government, and the highest living standards on earth.
Nope. See, that's so ethnocentric. It's actually crazy. Or I don't know if it's ethnocentric, or I don't know if it's like, I don't know what kind of centric it is, but it's definitely eccentric.
And most inaccurately, that we're the freest. Well, it is partly true. America is...
This guy looks like a fucking lumberjack.
...is the richest.
He looks like Hank Schrader from Breaking Bad combined with a lumberjack.
...this country, not just in the world, but in the history of the world. It's really hard to comprehend just how rich we are. We have 18 million people who are millionaires.
Crazy.
American households own about $100 trillion in wealth, an almost unthinkable amount of money.
Yep.
Okay, so America is the richest country ever.
That's true.
But there's a curious paradox.
That's very true. And you know what the paradox is? It's all located at the top.
Most Americans actually have a much worse standard of living than people who live in poorer countries like Germany or Finland or Britain. But how can that be? That shouldn't make any sense.
He's getting angry. Yo, don't show him France.
Well, here's the shitty deal. Americans get significantly worse services because our tax dollars don't fund them. So, of course, our services are worse.
They fund the defense budget.
And thus we enjoy less happy lives than people who live in the aforementioned countries.
And why do we do that? Because they chose it to be that way.
Not that difficult a concept to conceive, really. You get what you pay for, said the cartoon dog to the other cartoon dog.
True.
And why?
That's what I'm going to hopefully one day say to my company when they ask why am I not more productive. You get what you pay for, you fuckers. You pay me not even enough to live.
You might think the reason American tax dollars don't fund as many services is because we pay lower taxes than other countries. That's not even true.
What?
When you have federal, state, local, and sales taxes and include other costs and services that our taxes don't cover but other countries' taxes do, like our uniquely high health insurance premiums,
worse than the world.
You'll find that
I think. It might not be worse in the world, but it's definitely one of the worst.
Americans actually give away more of their wages than most of the developed world.
Oh, let's see it.
For example, in Canada, for a married worker with 2 kids, all the previous
2 kids. You know what I call that in the USA? Going homeless.
Previously mentioned costs combined, from taxes to health insurance premiums, make up only 11% of the average wage. In the UK, it's just about 26%.
What?
Meanwhile, once you tack on the cost of our outlandish health insurance premiums
and rent or mortgage,
you're spending a whopping 43% of your paycheck. That's more than France, Finland, Sweden, and Norway.
That's probably average, so the average is around 80K. So around 40 something of that is going to everything else. So imagine if you're like me and you make like 30K a year.
In real reality, Americans keep much less of what we own than in other countries. In other countries, their government takes a bit more tax, but then gives that money back to their citizens in the form of healthcare or job support, or a general safety net for all vulnerable citizens, no matter how dusky they are. So what do Americans get for the money we pay in?
Nothing.
Well, sure, we get a crumbling infrastructure.
Well, actually, we get like very good defense. We can defend ourselves even though we're like starving and dying and depressed. We can still defend ourselves, though.
Shameful homelessness and millions of hungry, neglected children, but we also get some of the worst services in the developed world.
Whoa!
Again, our healthcare. American healthcare is simultaneously the most expensive, the least efficient, and the least effective healthcare system in the developed world.
Insane.
Hey, the devil's trifecta. And in exchange for this extremely expensive, inefficient healthcare system, what do we get? Well, we get some of the worst health outcomes in the developed world. We have fewer hospital beds per capita than people in Turkey or Brunei.
Yes. Think about that, per capita.
Americans have a lower life expectancy than people in Lebanon or Cuba. And in
Cuba,
the Mississippi Delta and much of Appalachia, life expectancy is lower than in Bangladesh.
Isn't that a third world country?
In fact, in 2017, the United Nations sent a commissioner.
I always never understood where that like term came from, third world.
To West Virginia to document what he saw, and he described, quote, third world conditions of absolute poverty, unquote. We even have a higher infant mortality rate than people in Russia and Serbia. In every single metric, America does worse across the board.
Amazing.
America is the greatest country on earth.
At being the
strongest.
Worst. Oh, it restarted. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, but you know, basically what I've been saying. America sucks. New York especially. New York magnifies it. So, Dark Dimension. Let's go next.
Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama is messing with our military right now in a way we really haven't seen before.
No, not the defense budget.
Republican senator single-handedly blocking the smooth transfer of power within the highest ranks of our military. And as far as why he's doing...
Is he doing... Okay, let me take a wild guess. Is he doing it because whatever he wanted didn't get pushed through or didn't get voted in?
It's because of abortion. Because Tuberville objects to a Pentagon policy instituted after Roe was overturned that provides time off and reimbursement for travel to service members seeking abortions or other reproductive care like IVF.
Yeah, God forbid a female do what she wants.
That has made Tommy a big, mad, angry boy. So as a result, he's demanding...
A big, mad, angry boy. Yo, Philip DeFranco is biased sometimes. It's funny, though.
...the Pentagon revoke the policy or that the Senate pass legislation overturning it. But until that happens, he's stopping the Senate from mass-confirming military promotions. And while this has been going on for a little while now, it is about to cause some serious disruption starting right now. Because as of today...
And yo, one thing you don't want to mess with the United States is our army, because that shit's on fleek. But now that he's fucking up our army, yo, people might start getting ideas around the world. That's scary. This guy has a pair of cojones on him.
The Marine Corps will be unable to replace its top leader, who is required under law to step down from his post. And notably, more key leaders are set to do the same soon. Over the next few months, more than half the current Joint Chiefs are scheduled to step down from their posts, including the Staff Chiefs.
How did that occur at the same time? Like, how is that all possible to just happen at the same fucking time?
Army,
that's crazy.
The Navy, the Air Force, and even General...
Not the Navy!
Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. With all that leaving the advisory body with more temporary leaders than ever before in American history. And that's a very massive deal because those temporary occupants are just placeholders. They're unable to make serious strategic decisions, which is basically the main job of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. But it's also not just the top leadership positions being...
This guy looks like a villain. This guy looks like a cross between Vince McMahon and like an evil Disney villain. Like he just wants to suck money to his hole.
Prevented from doing their job. This is also going to have a spillover effect down the chain of command for every officer waiting to replace someone else. And key thing, all of this is happening at a point in time where the U.S. is locked in a handful of serious and complex military operations.
Ukraine.
Senator Tommy Tuberville...
Yo, fuck Tommy Tuberville. This guy's an asswipe. Again, it's not for the people. They want to play the game of either A, I'm fighting for my team, A, I'm fighting for myself. And that's pretty much it, because they're never going to fight for the people. You know, sorry. A, I'm fighting for my team. B, I'm fighting for myself. Or C, I'm fighting for whoever's paying me the most. That's the options with our senators. It's fucking disgusting. It's fucking stupid. Let's go next.
So this morning, the CEO of Disney,
Hey, Adam Conover,
went on TV and said that what writers and actors are asking for is not realistic because they just don't have enough money to pay us.
Of course they would say that. And let me see, is Adam Conover going to tell us like how much profit they made? Because Disney, I heard recently, this is spoiling a little thing here for a future Dark Dimension TikTok, but I heard just in a quarter, right? Which is 3 months of the year, just in a quarter, I think they made $22 billion in a quarter.
But he said this
Crazy.
at a billionaire retreat where he was hanging out with Mark Zuckerberg and David Zaslav that they
The fucking Zuck.
all flew to.
This is where I question things, right? Because obviously these like mega billionaires say things like, you know, Bill Gates says he's going to give away 99% of his wealth after he dies, and his family's not going to see it, and, you know, they want to help society. Didn't Bill Gates drink the fucking water that was made out of fucking poop or whatever? Like, they do these things to try and show that they help people, but at the same time, are they really helping, or are they just trying to save face? Because look at what's happening. This guy is meeting with Mark Zuckerberg, right? CEO of Disney is meeting with Mark Zuckerberg, and the CEO of Disney sounds fucking evil. It sounds like a Disney villain.
On their private jets. And you know what?
And you know what I'm realizing? I'm realizing that now the people who run the company, who own the company, aren't the ones producing what the company is making, right? So the Disney stuff, right? Like all the Disney shows, or sorry, movies that show like villains and heroes and stuff like that, it's from real people. It's not from them. I used to think like, wow, you know, it's ironic Disney is making this movie about poverty and about, you know, unequal, like, you know, stuff in society when, you know, they're not paying their people equally, but Disney isn't making that. It's the people who work for Disney who are like us who are making it, and it's sad.
But I don't think that that's fucking realistic. Here's a dose of reality.
Yo,
for
Adam's
you, Bob.
getting angry.
Writers cannot afford to pay their mortgages. Actors are not able to make a living in Los Angeles anymore. That is reality to us, not flying around on private jets. And until you accept that reality, we are going to be out here on the picket lines withholding our labor, depriving you of your product, and you will not make another dollar
It's
off
not
of
even
it.
his product, it's their product. Like they're helping make it. It's their literal writing.
Until you come back to the table and face reality and negotiate with us as you have refused to do. And until you
Like the fact that they think the CEO owns this, even though they had nothing to do with it, they didn't animate it, they didn't write it, they didn't voice act it. Everyone else did that. The CEO did nothing except make big decisions.
do that, there will be no acting and no writing. So
And
this
no
morning,
jacking
the
off. No jacking off either. But yeah, I fully agree with Adam, man. Yo, keep up the good fight, Adam. Next. Yeah, so I added this in for comedic purposes. Boomers when you suggest giving money to homeless vets instead of Israel. So there's a little caveat here. So when people think homeless, again, I don't know if this is because of the media or because of, you know, this is somewhat grounded in reality, and it's a sad fact that a lot of homeless people do have mental problems and they do drugs. So if you give them money, where's it really going? And, you know, a lot of the programs designed to help them, at least in New York, aren't really there to help them. They're there to pocket the money for themselves. So how do you really help them? You can't give it to them because they'll use it because they're irresponsible. You can't give it to the programs that are there to help them because they're stealing it. So how the fuck, you know, what the fuck do you do? Right? You don't have enough time to do it yourself. It's ridiculous. But yeah, this is where like the caveat here is it's homeless veterans. I think it is one of the most horrid, absolutely abysmal things that someone can fight for this country, be willing to die for it, and come back and be homeless as a veteran. That's disgusting. And the worst part is sometimes they come fucked up from what they went through to try and like either defend us or forward our interests with oil or whatever interests we have. And it's really sad, man. These people should be treated like as kings and should be taken care of. Like, it's so fucking sad. I have so much respect for veterans, man. It's so sad. Although some veterans went to the army because they had no other choice. Because if you're a high school dropout, what do? Go to the army. But anyway, let's go next. Pretty nice video.
What if I told you you could defer payment on just about any purchase with no interest?
No way.
They're called buy now, pay later loans, and they are...
Whoa, I've heard of these. You could do this with groceries now.
attractively simple. By using one of several apps, you get approved right at the point of sale and pay off the purchase in 4 bi-weekly installments.
But BNPL loans come with their own hazards, like loan stacking, where borrowers using multiple apps quickly lose track of how many loans they've taken out, leading to late.
And you know what's crazy? This is the same thing that ends up happening with subscriptions, and now a lot of apps are coming out to track your subscriptions, so they're literally making a business off of another business. It's actually wild.
Fees, overdraft charges, and defaults. And because BNPL loan payments are not reported to the credit bureaus, they are not a viable way to build your credit score.
But that's not the main danger. The majority of BNPL companies' income is from merchant fees. Merchants are willing to pay processing fees that are 3 to 4 times higher than for credit cards. Why? Because these companies promise that they can get shoppers to buy way more stuff. Instead of a smart financial tool, they become an excuse to overspend.
Whoa. So I always told people buy now, pay later was evil. And I didn't fully know why specifically. And here you go. This is why. Alright, so let's lower this down just so we can read it. Here we go. During the post-World War II housing crisis, when the U.S. was short 3.5 million homes, similar to now, President Truman signed a law capping new home prices at $10,000, the equivalent of around $133,500 in 2022. That's where that would actually be affordable by the average American in like 1 to 2 years. Or sorry, like 2 to 3 years. Maybe 5. So imagine you could buy a house within 5 years. And I don't know if the idea is all like, oh, once you buy a house, you're never going to work again. You're going to rent and you're just going to live off the income. No, after you buy a house, you're still going to work because you probably have a family and you need more money to support them, or just want to do different things. You want to do more stuff. And even if you do rent, it's not going to be enough. Stupid, but anyway. Rents were capped at $80 a month, or around $1,000 in today's money. Yo, this needs to happen again. Anyway, Eisenhower also had a 50% copper tax rate and around a 92% tax rate on people who earned more than $400K, which is equitable to more than $5 million a year by today's standards. Let me fact check this, because now my great skeptic is coming out. Let me see. My stand though. Excuse me. Eisenhower 92% tax rate. Let me see. Viral post exaggerates corporate tax rate under President Dwight Eisenhower. So let's see. A recent Facebook post claims that corporate tax rate was 90% under President Dwight D. Eisenhower from 1953 to 61. Why, says the April 28 post below a photo of Eisenhower, because high corporate tax creates incentive for big businesses to spend. This post from left-wing Facebook group, The Other 98% accumulate more than 12,000 shares, yada yada yada. But the numbers are off here. While the individual income tax rate for some earnings rose over 90%, okay, so for individuals it was 90%. And it capped out at 52 for corporations. So honestly, this is still true, because they didn't say businesses, they said people. They said people. Okay, so it's true. Holy shit. All right, as far as I could check. That's not bad. That's pretty good. But, you know, it's sad that it's not happening now. I hope we don't have to get to the 2050s for this to happen. But let's see. Next. Dark Dimension.
How much on average does the military spend on Viagra each year?
Viagra?
I don't have that figure. About 41.6 million.
Why the fuck is the military spending money on Viagra?
Do you know how many bridges in my district of Pittsburgh could be repaired with that amount? About 2. The rebuilding of the Fern Hollow Bridge, which of course collapsed the day that President Biden happened to be coming to Pittsburgh, cost about $25.3 million to rebuild. How much did the Department of Defense spend on snow crab and Alaska king crab in 2018?
I do not have that amount.
According to Open the Books, it was $2.3 million. Do you know how much the Pittsburgh City Council spends each year serving the county's unhoused population? Only $1.2 million, but they're certainly not being served Alaska king crabs. How much did the 2023 National Defense Authorization Act?
So again, this is our military budget. This is some of the stuff it's going into. Viagra. The fact that Viagra costed more than literal food, right? Let's just ignore the fact that the food was king and Alaskan crab, which I think is high society food. Let's ignore that. Let's just say it's food, so it's necessary. How the fuck you spending more on getting your dick hard than food? The fuck?
Authorized for shipbuilding.
I do not have that particular figure.
Yeah.
The total amount of contract obligations in
Yeah.
2022 was over $400 billion.
For shipbuilding, it authorized $32.6 billion. Do you know how many school lunches that amount could provide to hungry children in America, where for the 1 in 8 children who go to school hungry, that may be the only meal they get?
That's fucked up. Hearing children are going hungry and they can only eat at school really breaks my heart, because number one, school lunches suck dick. Number two, what the fuck is their home life like? It's just fucked up. But this is where I'll kind of go against what she's saying. This is where, again, do I think we spend a lot on defense? Yeah. Do I think it's wholly necessary? I don't know. Because look at China. China's spending a lot on their quote-unquote defense, too. And Russia always says they're, you know, they could beat everyone, so does North Korea, but who knows? But this is where defense is a tricky thing to take money away from, because it's giving us peace of mind. Americans have it very easy to know, like, we will almost, at least for the current day, not be attacked, right? Other countries don't have that fear, except if you're or do have that fear, except if you're Russia, China, and, you know, North Korea, the big ones, the ones with nukes, essentially. They don't necessarily have that fear. But this is where, obviously, if we took some money away from the ships and give it to the children, yeah, no duh. If we took away, like, money from, like, anything and gave it to the children, sure. But this is where, should we? This is where, again, for the ships and stuff, I don't know about Viagra, alright? That's a little weird. But for the ships, I can see the argument, hey, we need it for the ships to keep, excuse me, our children safe, and to have it be only 1 in 8 children going hungry. Because imagine if we get invaded and we have a war and we win it by the skin of our teeth because we didn't have enough ships. Now it's 4 out of 8 children going hungry to school.
All of them. And then some. The school lunch program cost $28.7 billion in 2022.
Wow, that's actually a lot of money. Holy shit.
How much is the F-35 joint program estimated to cost the federal government to produce, operate, and sustain over its lifetime?
What the fuck even is that?
I believe the GAO cited that figure. I don't have it in front of me, but we can get that for you.
It's about $1.7 trillion, enough to completely eradicate student loan debt, according to...
How much is student loan debt? Let me look that up. Student loan debt. Americans own 1.77 trillion. Whew.
The government accountability.
How much
about
was
1.7 trillion, enough to
so
completely
it can't even eradicate the debt. The debt is more.
Eradicate student loan debt, according to the Government Accountability Office. Between May 2018 and October 2022, about 1 million F-35 spare parts worth $85 million were, quote, lost, just vanished.
I love when they say that, because even the IRS, like, with their budget and stuff, they collect taxes from us, and then a big well, not a big portion, but a good portion of that literally just gets lost, and they don't know how to account for it. But again, similar to the justices, if anyone else did that, you know, we'd be punished. But the justices don't get in trouble, and neither does the IRS, for literally losing money. And by losing, I mean they're probably stealing it.
Losing millions of dollars in assets is unacceptable. How much on average?
Crazy ass shit. Let's go next. Dark Dimension.
Good morning, bad news! Have you noticed that in the past few years, movies and TV have gotten a lot more boring, generic, and repetitive, with the same IP revisited over and over and over
Spider-Man
again, while actual good shows get canceled almost immediately? Well, it's the same reason studios just offered a contract of $200 per person to digitally scan actors, convert them to AI, and use their likeness for free for the rest of eternity. And now SAG-AFTRA is on strike because multimillionaire executives who have never done a creative thing in their lives figured out that they could make more money by leveraging streaming subscriptions into stock market investments rather than paying to produce good or original content, which is why last year Netflix put out 891 new shows that you never even saw in your feed. And then as soon as one of those shows becomes popular and the people who make it have more leverage to ask for more money, they are immediately fired. Meanwhile, studio executives are talking to unions like it's 1995 and offering residuals that amount to less than a penny for a billion streams. And everyone in the industry is supporting these strikes because they can see the writing on the wall. And maybe you should join them, unless you want to see another 30 versions of Willy Wonka movies written by ChatGPT starring an AI Gene Wilder greenlit by a Nepo baby finance bro who got the job because he was best friends with Harvey Weinstein's kids in high school.
Okay. That ending there kind of was a joke, but again, it wasn't really a joke. I really want to combine these two titles, The Greek Skeptic and It's a Joke, but not really. But, yeah, this is actually pretty fucking crazy. I mean, you know, I think it's pretty true. This is where I will agree with Good Morning Bad News here. As we've seen with Adam Conover and the guy with the crowbar. Like, bro, what the fuck is happening? Like, honestly, what the fuck is happening? The biggest thing that opened my eyes to this and, like, makes me believe it's very true and very fucked up is look at Squid Games. I've never seen it, right? I haven't seen it yet. But the fact that the creator of Squid Games got Netflix with his show, like, what, near $1 billion, right? And he, like, can barely afford to pay his rent. He's just, like, floating on the surface of like, poverty almost. Bro, disgusting. I mean, you know, a lot of shit we've seen is disgusting. But anyway, I think we're gonna end it here because we've been going for a little bit now. We've been going for almost 2 hours. Or actually, you know, let's get to the 2-hour mark. Let's react to a couple more. Excuse me. We're making good headway. We're less than a month behind now. Next week we're gonna be a little over a month behind, but we're making good progress now.
Good morning. Eric Goldstein got caught accepting bribes that ended up putting metal and plastic in kids' lunches.
Yeah, so these are the things. Remember the lady who was just arguing about school lunches? Yeah, look how good they are too, and we spent $22 billion.
Thing with Eric is he was a senior official in the New York Department of Education, with him specifically in charge of the food service for New York City.
You know what's sad? He was already in the Department of Ed. Like, what the hell?
Schools and the owners of Sama Food Group took advantage of Goldstein's position. The food that Sama was providing had some problems, namely foreign objects in the chicken tender. Specifically, students and staff found pieces of bone.
And the chicken tenders were actually something that was decent too.
Bones, plastic, and even metal in the chicken. Or when a school staff member choked on a bone in a supposedly boneless tender.
That's fucking hilarious. Why is a staff member choking on it and not a kid?
Soma's chicken was pulled from the menu. However, one big paycheck to Goldstein later, and they were back. And it turns out that the same time that Soma was founded, the three owners also started another company, Range Meats, with Goldstein, who notably had a 20% share in the company that was kept secret. And according to prosecutors, a quid pro quo.
Wow, and it was kept secret. I wonder why. It's almost like money isn't enough. All the money in the world will never be enough. This is why I give credence to my theory that, like, what if this all happened, and not like how it happens now, right? Like in a similar way, where humans rose up, right? We advanced, and we got to have rich and poor, and the rich just kept wanting more, and the poor and poor kept increasing in population, and they fought and they blew up.
Pro quo agreement went like this. Goldstein promoted Soma's interests and made sure that the Department of Education purchased from them, and then Soma's owners would invest in Range Meats and pay Goldstein thousands of dollars.
Insane.
With all this leading to a weeks-long trial and the jury coming back yesterday convicting Goldstein of conspiracy, extortion, wire fraud, and taking bribes.
And let me just tell you this. If he has to pay anything, right, and not go to jail, this country's fucked. If the only punishment for a crime, and I love this quote, by the way, I heard this from Asman, which he got it from, ironically enough, Final Fantasy. If the only punishment for a crime is a fine, it is only a crime for the poor, not the rich.
All of which could land this guy in prison for up to 20 years.
Okay, good. Yes, force him into prison.
He's not the only one. The other three men were also convicted of conspiracy, wire fraud, and bribery. The U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York calling all this a textbook example of choosing greed over the needs of our schools and the well-being of our children.
That's true.
Eric.
And this is where, you know, we've seen it in the schools, we've seen it in the courts, we've seen it in the governments, we've seen it in the housing market and everything. Corruption is rampant everywhere, and it's so rampant, I don't know how we're going to get rid of it. I honestly don't. Very dark dimension. Let's go next.
They can be found in about half of the tap water supply in the United States.
Wait. Is there more corruption?
About Forever Chemicals.
Not Forever. Ew, she spit it out. Yo, she has some interesting lips. My God.
This is according to a new study by the U.S. Geological Survey. So I want to thank my TikTok subscribers for voting for this story as the bonus for the week. If you want to vote too, make sure you subscribe to my page only during my next live event. Now, I want you to know, I am not trying to scare you with this information. This is
and I'm saying the same thing to my fans. I'm not trying to scare you with this dark dimension. I'm just trying to show you the truth.
Simply important, new information that you should know about. Plus, at the end of this video, I did some digging, and I'm going to tell you how you can reduce your exposure to these so-called forever chemicals. First, to the research. In this brand new
the science
extensive report, the U.S. Geological Survey detected at least one of the many chemicals known as PFAS, or
at least one.
Per and polyfluoroalkyl chemicals were found in about 45% of U.S. drinking water samples. They looked
and I bet you one of those was from New York.
In both private and public water supplies in 716 different locations.
No wonder, by the way, microplastics are appearing in fetuses.
Nationwide from 2016 to 2021. The USGS found exposure to PFAS was more common in areas like the Great Plains, the Great Lakes region, the Eastern Seaboard.
Oh, look at that. Look at all that. Look at where it's near. New York.
And Central and Southern.
I like how the first comment to this video is, why do we pay taxes?
In California. And in those places, the chemicals had a higher probability of being detected in urban areas where there was a history of contamination compared to more rural areas.
Lovely.
So what are PFAS? PFAS chemicals is the general term for thousands of synthetic chemicals that are found at this point in everything around the world and take a really long time to break.
This is what they warned us about, the environmentalists, man. They warned us about this.
Down. The usage of some of these PFAS chemicals in the United States has been phased out, but others are still being used to this day. They've been found in various industries and products since the 1950s because of their ability to repel oil and water. They've been used in things like Teflon nonstick products, stain and water repellents in fabrics, carpet, cosmetics, paint, in cleaning products, food packaging, and firefighting foams. Because the chemicals are so pervasive, the Environmental Protection Agency says PFAS chemicals are found in water, air, fish, and soil. And the Center for Disease Control says while they're certainly declining, PFAS chemicals are definitely found in all of our bloodstreams from adults
Jesus Christ.
to newborns.
What the hell?
I know. Let's
I
talk
feel
about
like as time goes on, if we don't nuke ourselves, our bodies are going to adapt to all this pollution, and we're going to look like fucking monsters.
The health concerns around PFAS. The EPA and CDC both say exposure to certain PFAS may lead
which I guess is the
to
same
reproductive,
thing.
developmental, and hormonal issues, along with some cancers and increased cholesterol levels.
And again, this is where I say, like, so many parts of the machine are broken. How the fuck is the machine still functioning? This is where, okay, how could you get fucked up in society? You can either get massively bullied, which is very common. You can get PFAS in you from, you know, out of your control just because America is the way it is. The environment's fucking itself, so that can happen. And that can lead to, you know, either the PFAS or the environment or the bullying can lead to mental problems. The economy's fucked, that could lead to mental problems. So many facets or so many avenues of where you can get fucked and lead to problems are so prevalent. It's no wonder society, most of it's, you know, the people are fucking crazy and have issues, health and mental.
Now, some people have higher exposure to PFAS chemicals than others because of their occupations or where they live. For example, someone who works in manufacturing and is involved in making products that contain PFAS chemicals will have a higher exposure rate than someone who lives, say, in a rural area and works as a writer. What the hell? Why aren't these things
Yeah, and the writers are striking, so.
banned? Well, the government has been trying to get rid of them for years.
Wow.
Some manufacturers
Let me guess, they got lobbied by the people who own it.
have voluntarily made commitments to stop using them, but as of March of this year, the EPA has proposed the National Primary Drinking Water Regulation Rule, which will establish a legally enforceable level for the amount of PFAS chemicals that can be found in drinking water in parts per million.
Yeah, and is that level, like, actually safe, or is it something that they're just trying to get to because they think it's realistic? So realistic doesn't mean safe, and this is what I learned in my health class in college about America. A lot of our recommended daily values dietary-wise are not actually healthy, they're just what they think we can actually get to as Americans. Let that sink in. So, what I'll put it to you like this, right? Let's think of it in hot dogs. The normal hot dog a person should eat, and this is not actual science here, I'm just using examples. The normal hot dog, the amount of hot dogs a person should eat should be 1. You should eat 1 hot dog, that is the serving size, right? Theoretical. In America, we eat 8. Right? We eat a whole pack, and I'm guilty of this. I actually do this. But in America, we eat 8. So in America, the recommended value is 4. Even though the realistic healthy value is 1 hot dog, they recommend us to eat 4 because we usually eat 8.
This regulation should become fully enforceable by the end of this year. So in the meantime, how can you limit your exposure to these PFAS chemicals?
Don't live.
First, you need to find out if PFAS are in your drinking water. If you get your water from a public drinking water system, you need to reach out to your local water utility and ask them what they're doing to limit your exposure.
Yeah, and they're gonna either tell you a lie or they're gonna tell you they don't know, and then at that point, what do?
You can also test your tap water through a PFAS test. Just make sure it's processed through a state-certified lab. Once you get the results, you can compare them to the state's standard for safe levels of PFAS in drinking water.
Why do different states have different standards? Shouldn't there be a federal standard? I mean, even if there is, I might not even believe it still, but like, what the hell?
Water. And if you're still concerned, you can contact your state's EPA or health department and ask them for their recommendations. You can also consider installing an in-home water treatment filter, but make sure you are getting the ones certified to lower the level of PFAS. The EPA has a whole list.
See, this is where I just try and use a filter. I just have a Brita filter. I put some water in that shit, filter it out, and hope it's clean. Because what more can I really do? I don't got money.
What you need to look for. Now, I know that it's a lot of information for one video, so if you want more from the USGS, the EPA, or the CDC, I'm going to email all of this documentation out to you tonight in my News Girl News Roundup email. So make sure you're signed up. They can.
Okay, cool. Very nice video. The only thing I don't like about Lisa's videos here is her audio sounds a little weird. And it always is like this. It's very weird. But, yeah. Everything's fucked. Every place is corrupted. The world's burning. The environment's burning. Every department has corruption. Excuse me. We're literally getting microplastic and PFAS in our bloodstream, and, you know, when we're fetuses and this and that. Nothing's exempt. Nothing's exempt. It's all pretty bad. But anyway, that put us finally over the 2-hour mark, so I'm going to cut it here. We got through a good amount today. Let me check how much we got through. We started July 7th, and we made it all the way to right here, July 17th. We actually made it really good. That's actually insane. We made it like so far. We actually might catch up soon. And if we catch up, these episodes might eventually become shorter, which is great. But anyway, that's going to be it for me. I hope everyone enjoyed this episode of the Dark Dimension TikToks. And as always, if you want a Dark Dimension TikTok to be featured on here, if you see anything that reminds you of this, send it to Tecnics on TikTok. I will add you, and you could send me things, and I will look at them. And if they're good enough, I will send them to this account to then feature them. So don't send it to this account, send it to my Tecnics account. But anyway, that's going to be it. I hope everyone enjoyed, and this is a big advertisement for my Twitch channel. Go there and watch me there. Please! I don't want to work anymore. Anyway, hope everyone enjoyed.